The motherfucking intro. I'm just trying to get that money like 1-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0. I'm here with Gino.
Hey, danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block, try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot, I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that D-Rex. Blow up Tic Tac, where the blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that kickback. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone, and my chick elastic girl. Told him we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my taxi thorough. Way I'm shooting like step, but my pass is bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in their fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6-spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6-spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told him I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on the dash. And they tell me slow down, cause dog, I'm moving too fast. Might go and cop me a Tesla, cause dog, I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6-spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6-spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6-spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6-spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. And the question was I going to be hatted or hatless today? Joke's on you guys. We're hatless again. Shout out to the CandleMafia. I was freaking everybody out with no hat yesterday. So we're going to keep it going here. Give me 1 second. Get a little sidelight here. But what is going on, Mafia? Welcome back. We got some stuff to look at here on Bitcoin as we're getting a bit of a drop to the downside. Are we headed to finally break the lows near $59,000. That is kind of my preference, but we are coming up to a very local level right now. We have a couple of local levels underneath us if we're looking for small bounces, but of course my interest does remain lower. At least that's my preference. Again, I don't really have too much of a personal bias, whether we go up or down first, but I'll cover both scenarios with you guys. Talk to you about how I'm personally handling this price action. We'll talk about the trades. I'm still holding my shorts from higher and a little bit of a scalp long here, which I do anticipate to get stopped out, but very small risk on that. And then we'll take a look at the money flow. We got the daily red dot printing that we talked about yesterday. Is that going to give us the break of the low for that daily bullish divergence? And then hopefully, if we do get that, we can start looking for a much bigger bounce. So shout out to Perry in the chat. What is going on, bro? We got Chris and Mella in the chat said, good Lord. Shout out to Chris Mella just coming out of the gate going absolutely insane with the out-of-pocket comment. Shout out to Chris Mella. Welcome in. Indian Martini says, no hat. Man, I did not think it was going to trip everybody up that much. I always get these haircuts, guys, and I just wear a hat all the time. It's like kind of a waste. So I figured I'd just go hatless for a little while. Shout out to Spiky. Thank you for getting that membership, bro. Welcome to the Mafia. Yo, Chris Mella, out-of-pocket, bro. Don't ban him. Don't ban him. We love Chris Mella. But let's see. We got Robo Balls in the chat again. What is going on, brother? Welcome in. We got Tomas in the chat, or Thomas as I like to call him. Welcome in. We got Olga in the chat. We got Jesse. Darren does things. Tony D holding down the chat. We got Alexandra G. Welcome in. Servando Estrada telling everybody to smash that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these beautiful live streams where we talk about all the key levels we're watching. And hey, a lot of the time, guys, we can call those gigantic capitulations to the downside. So without further ado, let's go ahead and, yo, shout out to Matt. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Shout out to Matt Did. Says, WTF, Frankie, I bet on Poly Market that you were going to be wearing a hat today. I'm ready for a short stream. Shout out to Matt. Well, technically, I did start the stream with a hat on, so I think that should count, right? I guess you won that bet. So shout out to Matt. Thank you for the super chat, brother. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so here we are. Now, if you tuned in yesterday, you will know that we were looking at this daily red dot, potentially looking to print. Now, the reason this was interesting to me personally is because, as you guys know, when we take a look at those higher time frame confluent levels of support and resistance, you can see that our bigger level of confluence for support, other than the levels that we're tapping into right now, do live below us between about $58,000 and $55,000, right? We kind of draw the blue box there, letting us know that that is going to be key macro support. This is also confluent with our 2021 macro value area high, so not only a horizontal key level, but also from a context standpoint and a volume profile perspective, definitely a key level that we would want to see some kind of a bounce off of if we did have to get down there, right? If we start getting accepted below this $55,000 value area high, at that point, we could potentially, right, we'd be okay with wicks down here, but if we can't get back out of this level, we could be potentially looking down towards that point of control at about $47,450. And we all know this is an absolutely key level of support. Once we end up losing that level, guys, I am probably going to be looking overall for the much bigger drop down towards the value area low towards 30K. Now, this is not just going to be my anticipation as my base case, right? It's only going to be if we end up losing that point of control. Other than that, right, we do have a decent amount of support underneath us, and for what it's worth, we are actually coming into, or already have come down into, massive confluence here, right? We have tons of horizontal levels. This is also confluent with our previous value area. I won't go super deep into that because we've covered it so many times, but the idea here is like, well, hey, if we break this low, we lose all this confluence, right? The next big level to look at is going to be down here between $55,000 and $58,000. Now, the reason this was interesting, or the red dot was interesting to me on the daily, somebody asked, when do you think that would print? Of course, timing is a little bit difficult because, you can get support on the zero line. The VWAP can bounce back up. But, over the next day or so, we were looking for this daily red dot. Here it is. Actually wound up, I believe, printing last night. So we are getting that red dot. We were also looking at the idea of this 80 and 90-minute money flow coming into the red, which does potentially give us a market cipher B 1/16 strategy. it wasn't perfect, right? Typically, I like to see this money flow crossover at the exact same time that the daily red dot is printing. The 80 and 90 minute, which is the 1/16th time frame of the daily, was starting to cross over a little bit early there. But at the end of the day, right, that daily red dot, if we were going to get another drop to the downside, was going to be the thing we were looking at. And the reason this did interest me was because if we are going to come down and take these lows, again, my preference, we could put in a lower low, giving us a lower low on price action, and then just looking at these momentum wave guys. What I really like to do here is try to front run the idea of bullish divergences printing, or looking to print. We have a nice oversold momentum wave here, and then once that red dot prints, if we could come down and put in that lower low, we could potentially put in a higher low on the daily, giving us more of a macro reversal signal here into key support. And this would look, a lot nicer. Again, I'm not going to say it's impossible to bounce from some of the local levels that we're going to talk about today, but this would be much better, right? Because we have no high time frame bullish confirmations down here. We have no daily bull divs, no 4-hour bull divs. Like, we really didn't get much as we were rotating down to this value area low. Of course, the value area low did end up acting as support, but we didn't really get any significant medium or higher time frame confirmations, right? There's no 4-hour bull div here. Like, even on the lower time frames, there's no divergences down here, right? We just kind of came, tapped the level, respected it. And at this point, right, this is the overall volume profile we are sitting in right now. We'll cover the local levels as well. But overall, right, shorts at the highs, right? Once you get accepted in, POC is next. Lose the POC, go back down to the low, bounce off the low, back to the POC, back to the high. And, as we sit up at the high, right, this is where we would look for rejections back into the profile, back to the POC, can't get out. And now we are playing around with this point of control once again. So this is kind of the biggest level within the profile that I'll be looking at. If we cannot reclaim this POC, this could indicate that we are going to be headed down towards that value area low, which would open up the opportunity to come down, take out that low here, and potentially print that daily bullish divergence. So from a high time frame perspective, we'll see, right? There's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but, I'm just looking at this. This does look like it may want to set up for that daily bull div, and we got that red dot printing, so no better time to, see if that's going to play out than right now. With that being said, we do have some local levels underneath us, right? The two kind of opportunities here for a bigger bounce is either going to be, obviously, take out the low, put in the daily bull div, or if we are going to go ahead and just look at this from a Fibonacci perspective, we do have the golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement sitting here. This is confluent with a daily naked point of control. You can see we're playing with the daily MPOC right now. I'll get to that level in just a minute. But right now, right, this is the level that we've been looking at. If we weren't going to break the low, we've covered this many a times, right? You have the golden pocket, daily naked point of control, sitting between about 64,867 and 64, about 64K, right? And then underneath that, we do have the 786. You could look at this as somewhat of a zone, right? This is also confluent with a daily level in here. We're also playing with a daily right now. Again, we'll get to this level in just a second. But, if we're not going to go out and take that low, which again is my preference, we could potentially look for higher lows within the golden pocket 786 for a low, high, higher low, higher high to break structure to the upside. Now, of course, as I've mentioned many a times on the live streams, this week and last week, I'm not as interested in this, right? Now, again, it's not that you can't bounce there. These are key levels. They technically do have some confluence, although they are like lower time frame levels, right? Daily MPOC, daily horizontal. When down here, we have a monthly MPOC, a weekly level, a macro value area high. This is just a higher time frame support level. But we're not going to ignore this, right? If we did come in here, I would be interested in potential bounces. But of course, when we look at it in terms of the volume profile here, it does get a little bit difficult, right? Because then, not impossible to put in the high or low, but then you got to fight above the POC, fight above the value area high, and you're also just fighting the general idea of filling this. It's just much prettier, in my opinion, to see that volume profile fill from high to low to high to low, and then you can start looking for bigger long positions down at the low. But as traders, right, we're not going to ignore the lower time frame levels. As a matter of fact, I am holding a scalp long from one of the more hyper local levels, which I'm even less confident in. But I would say, other than breaking the low here, or coming down to about $59,800 to the value area low and below. This would be the next big level to watch. Once we lose that 786 at $62,326, that is kind of the line in the sand, right? If we can't hold this, higher lows invalidated, that's where I'll be looking for the bigger drop down. And again, this daily just does look like it is setting up for that daily bullish divergence. So again, when I see those setups potentially forming before they're actually there, then once we actually see it form, we're actually kind of really prepared for the deviation below the low. We'll look for those low time frame entry triggers and then hopefully catch that daily bullish divergence. But So that again, this bigger zone, golden pocket 786, 64,867 to about 62,357. I would say these are the biggest levels of support to have marked off on your chart right now. Less favorable, more favorable, obviously. But even locally here, guys, of course, right, Bitcoin's been kind of boring lately, just kind of bing-bonging around, not really, super, super massive moves. We're kind of just settling down after our massive capitulation to the downside, which, of course, paid us out plenty on the short positions. I am still holding these short positions, of course, right, over here on Blowfin. Still got $11,400 unrealized. Still have some have a bunch of profits locked in there, actually. And then also holding another trade here over on WeX, up about $12,124. Also have a bunch of profit locked in on that as well. So these are guaranteed winning trades at this point, but I am going to continue to hold these. Hopefully we could come down and take that low. A lot of people ask me, like, when will I close these trades? At the end of the day, guys, like, I'm going to see if we can get the bigger drop to the downside. But if not, there's going to be some really key levels that we've covered in the past that if flipped to support, I may just close this on strength. Yes, I'll lose a little bit of my realized profit, but that's just kind of the risk, right, to potentially hold it for extra gains. So we'll see. Obviously, I'll check in with you guys if I do end up closing those. We'll talk about it. But then I am also holding a little low probability, I will say, scalp long here on Femex, up about $59. Oh my God, pretty much sitting at break even here. But yeah, we'll see what happens here, guys. I got my stop loss set. I don't have high hopes for this. Again, like I said, that golden pocket daily MPOC down here isn't even of much interest to me. And in that kind of perspective, why did I look for this? Well, at the end of the day, we did come down to a daily naked point of control. Come on down here to a lower time frame. We do have to reclaim this level. I don't know what the probabilities here are, right? But every trade comes with risk. I have my risk managed here. If I stop out, I'll take a small loss, no big deal. Of course, I am, very well hedged on the short positions here. Made a bunch of money already locked in on this drop to the downside. I'm really okay taking a couple of small losses here. But to be honest, like, Bitcoin's been kind of boring. So we did come down to the daily MPOC. This was also confluent with our golden pocket 786 retracement. You can see we are not holding this currently. We also have a daily down here. So this is kind of a local level, right? You do have a little bit of confluence there. That's enough for me to look for a little bit of a scalp. I did take an aggressive entry on this. There wasn't really a ton of, like, beautiful, beautiful confirmation, right? We had little 3-minute bull divs, 5-minute bull divs here. But I'll be honest, guys. Like, if we cannot reclaim this level, I'll expect to get stopped out of here. No big deal. Maybe it'll happen live. I actually do like sometimes when I get stopped out, especially if it's on a live stream, just to show people that nobody wins every single trade that they take. It's like a real reality of trading you have to understand, right? Losing is a part of the game, right? The key is being a good loser, right? Or managing the risk and not wrecking your accounts when you get stopped out. So we'll see what happens. If we get stopped out here, we'll find out, obviously. But we'll see. If we can reclaim this daily MPOC, daily 786, right? This could potentially look like a higher low, right, for a potential little push to the upside. But even then, guys, I'm going to view this as a very small scalp position. I will move my stop loss very quickly here. Not super high probability, as I said, right? The last 3 long positions I've taken, I already got stopped out of 2 of them. They were both low probability. I was not shocked that I got stopped out of them. But kind of like really the only opportunities to look. I'm not really interested in, like, more short positions, as I'm already, like, heavily hedged short. So we'll see what happens here, but just to kind of let you guys know, that is a local position I'm holding, and of course, getting above this daily MPOC, and more specifically the 786 at about 66,293 would be the level to get above in order to see a little bit of a bigger push to the upside. Now, local targets on this, guys, I'm not really going to be looking for too much. Let me pull up the Fibonacci retracements. Let me just measure this real quick. My entry's like somewhere down here. Yeah, like maybe even up to, like, oh man, $66,654 up to the golden pocket 786. I'd be interested in moving my stop loss at that point if we even get up there. Again, just kind of like really boring on Bitcoin right now. Not a ton of opportunities, at least for me personally, right? Because I'm already holding the shorts from higher. But we'll see what happens there. We came into some confluence. If we can't hold this level, right, well, I'll just be looking down towards the next key level, right? Again, not super interested in it. But then we have the daily naked point of control at 64.8, and then the daily down here at 62.779, right? Again, confluent with the golden pocket and the 786. These are kind of the 3 local levels I'll be watching for anybody out there scalping, right? Just looking for small bounces, right? If we don't get it here, right, maybe we can get it here. Maybe we can get it here. All right, if we can't get it at the 786, I'm looking for a break of the lows. Very simple. And again, to help us out with that context, right, you have the value area, right? Again, like one of the big reasons I'm not interested in this is because the laws of the volume profile do typically play out as deviate above the high, can't get out, right? Look for the full fill, especially once you're below that POC. Like even the bounces here could just be lackluster. So we'll see what happens, right? Kind of just super choppy. As far as money flow, right, you do still have your daily money flow coming into the red as we looked at yesterday, right? So this could just be continuation of the downtrend, which of course, any long that I get stopped out, especially the small one that I'm in right now, right, is going to get, totally paid for on the profits on the way back down. I prefer the bigger move down. But doesn't mean we can't take little shots here. All right, let's see. Let's see. Just make sure I'm seeing anything in the chat. Shout out to Rising Gun, said, anyone waiting to listen and do what someone else tells you is already cooked. Shout out to Rising Gun. I would 100% agree with that, my friend. I wish it was as easy as just having someone tell you to long or short and make a ton of money. That would be awesome. But I would totally agree with that. Yeah, those levels will be like butter, in my opinion. Yeah, shout out to N4M. Like I said, right, like just take the hyper local levels off. Right, and this is why I always say, like, if you're in here for like the big levels, I would not be so. And again, like even on this scalp long position, we're fighting a daily red dot. We did just confirm a 4-hour red dot. So you are fighting a lot here. This was just an aggressive entry. If it plays out, it plays out. Take the loss, no big deal. But I would agree, right? Like when we look at the high time frame levels, there's just not a lot, right? Take off the volume profile. Where's it at? Where's the monthly MPOC, right? It's like all the bigger levels, guys, right? Like there's not a ton other than like daily levels between here and here and here and here, right? So like I would not be surprised if this thing just melts down. As a matter of fact, as I've said probably too many times this stream, I prefer this, man. I really do. Because again, right, like I'd be much more confident coming into high time frame levels, especially when you have a potential high time frame bullish confirmation looking to print, right? Like I'd be much more comfortable taking shots at longs on daily bullish divergences forming rather than like no high time frame confirmation and then a retracement, especially when you have your money flow continuing into the red, right? Money flow always indicates the overall trend. It's like one of the most goated indicators here. Money flow crosses red. This does indicate the overall trend, right? You can even look back here. Of course, we got the crossover with one last rip of the highs, but overall at that point, money flow goes red, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, or lower highs, lower lows, right? Overall, and especially like on high time frames like the weekly, right? This money flow coming out already indicated to us at $108,000 that very likely, right? 108K, guys, we can't hold this. It is looking a lot more likely that the top is in at 126K. Right, and then once you see this money flow continue out, right, overall, one of the biggest reasons I was looking for this bigger capitulation down, everybody was waiting for that 50-week moving average. As we all know as traders, that is not promised just because it's happened in the past. And, of course, we were literally able to catch those short positions from exactly $98,000, right? So that's how we're able to do that, right? Because we understand the overall context. We understand that the chances of coming into all-time highs here, although not impossible, are super low probability based off the money flow. And just the timing of the cycle, massive bearish confirmations. There's so much stuff up here. I won't go over it because I've covered it so many times. Just very, very high probability of that overall continuation down. And when we look at the daily time frame, right, like overall the medium time frame expectation would be like even if we get a little bounce here, right, like potential continuations of that overall trend to the downside. So we'll see what happens. I kind of pray that happens. I hope we can just do it faster, sooner than later. I really hope that we don't just wind up like chopping around here and then eventually coming down. That'd be absolutely brutal. But I would just like, big levels. If you're going to have any alerts set on your chart, 58 to 55K, and then a higher time frame to the upside, I would say 84 to about $86,000, up towards our previous value area low. We covered all this yesterday as well, because there's not much happening in here other than the red dot printing and the push to the downside that we looked at yesterday. Let's see. 3-hour money flow is in the green. Yeah, so, yeah, when you look at this, right, I wouldn't say there's a ton of confluence here, right? It's not just one crossover that I like to see, right? When we look at like multi-time frame confirmation, right, or multi-time frame analysis, you want to kind of think of the low time frames into the higher time frames as like dominoes, right? Like the first domino starts tipping, it hits the second domino, right? And then they kind of all roll over, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. You want to think of it as like dominoes. I like to see, and that's kind of why, you know, if we were to have, say, 2-hour money flow crossing into the green, right? And then your 3-hour money flow is about to cross into the green. And then your 4-hour money flow is about to cross into the green, right? You want to see all those money flows be confluent like dominoes. And here you could see, right, 2-hour money flow, big green wave, now starting to cross over into the red, also indicating a potential continuation down from a 2-hour perspective, right, of the potential downtrend continuing. Right, this money flow crossover would indicate lower highs and lower lows is more likely. And then you come into the 3-hour, and it's like, all right, well, this is kind of choppy. Then you come to the 4-hour. 4-hour is absolutely nuking to the downside. 5-hour also coming back out. And then even if you come on down here to some of the lower time frames, right, like 1 hour coming out. So it's kind of just like alone there crossing into the green. It's already been choppy. So I wouldn't really see that as like a massive, massive signal because you just don't have a ton of confluence, right? It's been super choppy up in here. Very similar, right? Hopefully not for as long, but kind of similar to up here, right? Money flow on the lower time frame started to get like pretty choppy up in here. Up in here, right? So it's kind of hard to read. You want to see like nice, clean money flow waves. Like it's easy to see them on the higher time frames because the money flow moves a lot slower, right? You know, nice green wave. You start getting a lower high, smoothly starts trending out. That's kind of what you want to see. I would say that 3-hour money flow is kind of like isolated there with that crossover into the green. You know, you never want to trade these money flow crossovers as a signal, right? You know, you never want to see a money flow crossover and think, oh my God, we're going to go up from here, right? Because at the end of the day, like even if you are going to get that continuation up, I always point back to this situation, right? Kind of a decent situation or not a great situation to kind of use this as an example. But money flow crosses green, right? Like say you see this money flow starting to cross green, you long, then you get a pullback, right? It's not necessarily something I would enter on, but you're just using it as an overall thought process of like, what is the continuation of this trend likely going to be? I use it, I kind of explain it as a filter of whether you should be longing the lows, right? Or the higher lows for higher prices, or if you should be fading the highs, right? Money flow coming out, fading the highs to ride the trend, right? So you're kind of just using it as a filter of whether you should be looking for longs on pullbacks or if you should be looking for shorts on pullbacks, right? And it's like the cleanest way to look at that, right? Like very simple. Money flow crosses red. At this point, you are going to be anticipating lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? Then you get a nice daily bullish divergence, right? Then money flow, once you start wiggling up, starts trending to the upside. At this point, maybe you're looking to long the higher lows for higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs to overall continue the trend. Money flow indicates the trend. It does not indicate the ebbs and flows, right? Like the little ups and downs, the internal waves within the larger trend. So you don't, never would, I'm not saying you're trading it as a signal, but if you are, I would not recommend that just because, again, money flow is supposed to indicate the trend, not like an entry. An entry that I like to see is all based off of low time frame entry triggers, such as like maybe even like a 5-minute bullish divergence, because like even if you're not going to have a bull div play out a lot, right? Like once you form that bullish divergence, right? Not all bull divs are created equal. Lower lows, higher lows. Even if this is just going to roll back over and come down, right? Like if you're entering on the bullish divergences, chances of you coming up in some form or fashion are going to be somewhat decent to at least get you into profit. So there you go. Shout out to Div X-Ray, said, I'm so glad I'm all cash. Shout out to Div X-Ray. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's collect a little bit of profit on that scalp first, eh? Yeah, shout out to Big Huggies. I took one on ETH myself. We will take a look at some of the altcoins as well, guys. I'm not going to go super deep into them, but join the kitchen and learn to cook. Shout out to Servando Estrada. The kitchen is the premium Discord for those of you who don't know. Money flow on the smaller time frames. Shout out to NW Crypto. I mean, even here, right? Like just been very choppy, right? Tries to come up, back out, right? Take a look at the 15-minute, 15-minute, in the green, in the red, in the green, in the red, right? Like in situations like this, it's just really hard to read. When we see the smooth money flow, like you guys know when I get up here and we have like a lot of money flow lining up, we have multi-time frame confirmation. When we have, bottom confirmation, such as a divergence or a big SFP or something like that, things look a lot more clear. Right now, it's just like a very choppy market. We've just been kind of chopping to the downside, which could technically be identified by the high time frame money flow. But, on the low time frames, like things are just super choppy. Like 30-minute tried to trend up. Now it's back out. So yeah, just like a pretty dangerous trading environment, right? If you're new to trading, like this is for what I would recommend personally, not financial advice, right? Like it's always difficult, right? Because like in the Discord, like I take this little scalp long, which I'm 100% prepared to take a loss on, right? A lot of people, I always say this, like if you wind up like losing a trade and you're like upset about it, either, you might just have to control your emotions a little bit more, but more than likely, right, you're probably not managing the risk correctly, right? When you enter that position, any exchange that you use pretty much is going to tell you if your stop loss is hit, you will lose this much, right? From a technical perspective, it should be, in my opinion, 1% to 2% of your account, right? If you risk 1% of your account, you can lose 50 trades in a row and still have more than half your account left to live to trade another day, right? Trading is just as much about capital preservation, if not more, than actually making money, right? Because if you don't preserve your capital, if you're taking 2 trades and blowing up your account, you're not going to be able to make money long term, and you're just basically gambling. So, like, if you ever find yourself getting liquidated, first off, you should never be at risk of getting liquidated. You should be using a stop loss. Number 2, if you're like, oh my God, I got wrecked, that's a risk management problem, right? Not every trade setup, and like even this one's like lower probability, but even if this was a beautiful trade setup, there's always a chance that it won't play out, right? Like the market has a big element of randomness to it, and the only thing you can't control that, right? The only thing you can control is the risk. So you kind of just have to accept it, right? Like if I'm okay with this loss, right, I'll take the trade, right? If it plays out, it plays out. If not, I'll stop out for the loss that I've already accepted. I've allocated that risk correctly, right? So there's no reason for me to be super upset. I said this in the premium Discord the other day. I was like, hey guys, if I get stopped out of the long, I'll be out with Mrs. Candles on Valentine's Day. I get an email, you got stopped out. I'll go, okay, cool. All right, and just back to what I was doing. All right, it's never an emotional, and if you feel those emotions, it's probably a problem with the risk management. I think most people struggle with that, especially when they first start out. So yeah, there's always going to be a risk of getting stopped out of a trade, and that's kind of why, like, if we stop out of this, like, you guys will see, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, right? I'll just be like, oh, cool. Just wait for those bigger levels. But if I were kind of a, beginner trader, right? This is a very choppy zone to be trading. I would personally just be waiting for the bigger levels, right? At least the daily MPOC sitting down here, but like even that, right? Like I would probably just be sitting on my hands waiting for like the much higher time frame levels, which of course sit down here or all the way back up here. Now we've also talked about the liquidity sitting above $72,200 and I think $34. Did I get that right? 37, of course. If we do get a pop to the upside, right, the biggest level I would be interested in personally would be this daily naked point of control at 73,340. This is also confluent with some other levels as well, right? You have the anchored VWAP coming here, so I will be interested if we do wind up getting a bounce from here, right, or maybe the golden pocket 786. If we come up first, right, we may be able to come up and sweep that liquidity. You'll have the idea of the higher low. Come on. Off the golden pocket, whether it comes in at this local one or the deeper one, right? Come up and sweep this liquidity into the daily naked point of control golden pocket. This sits between $73,431 and $76,061. Other than that, like up in here, the only thing to really look at is the volume profile, which is of course valid. And I'll pull that up right now. Where's it at? Local, right? So if we did get a bounce, either from here or maybe from the lower levels, right, get back into this range, right? These are all local levels, though. I would say it's, within the volume profile, it's a little higher probability because you could at least use the idea of like a failed auction, right? But maybe we get the sweep, come back down, and then we can use this as our roadmap on the way back to the downside. But right here for like new traders, I would say, like, I know it's difficult, but not a bad time to sit on your hands, in my opinion, for these local levels, right? My biggest interest is much lower. These are just, again, we'll see. Maybe we can reclaim this support, get a little bit of a bigger bounce to the upside. Once we get to this value area low, this is going to be like pretty significant resistance, right? And this would be about, 1% move. So if we were able to reclaim this, right, I would start being careful around this value area low. Maybe take a TP1, right? Stop loss to break even, guaranteed winning trade. And then if it decides to get in here and rotate to the high and the low is in for now, then we can just enjoy that ride through the profile. This volume profile does sit value area low at 66,866, POC at 68,937, value area high at 70,863. And of course, if you're new here, right, typically we look for longs on deviations below the lows and shorts, or hits into the value area low / deviations, and then hits into the value area high / deviations, right? It's essentially just a mean reversion. Or we actually talked about this. I guess it's more of like a mode reversion, because your idea is that you're overvalued up here. Inside the volume profile is fair value, and then inside the POC here is the fairest value, right? This is where the most volume was transacted. Oftentimes, when you push to the upper end of the profile, get accepted back into the range, there's about 70 to 80% probability that you'll get sucked back down towards that POC, and then also a very high probability once you lose that POC that you'll rotate that entire volume profile in full. Same thing to the downside. Right? You get little, and of course you have to understand what to look for, entry triggers, confluence. You're not always going to get the perfect rotation, but more often than not, right, if you are able to get deviations below the low, right, this is where I'm typically looking for long positions, looking for those bullish confirmations, right, just from a simple perspective, right, you get a little daily 1 hour bullish divergence here. Once you get accepted back into this range, flip the value area low to support, send it to the POC, right, flip the POC, send it to the value area high, vice versa, right. So we'll see what happens. But that would be kind of the local context without looking at like the super hyper local levels. We kind of have a lot of levels to look at, honestly. That's why I've been kind of focusing on the higher time frame levels, because I know a lot of people get confused when we look at all these, micro levels. And that's why I try to be very transparent of like, I'm not super interested in a lot of this. Very similar to back here, right? Once we ended up losing the value area up here, right, there wasn't a lot of support. It's honestly very similar, right? You have the 786, right? This is one of the levels we were looking at. You got a little support there, but there's not a lot of confluence. I think we had an MPOC or a daily horizontal here as well. I think it was maybe a daily. Not a ton of confluence, right? Like, sure, we can get a little bounce there. You did respect it a tiny bit with this wick, right? You slip below, you bounce back above it, but eventually you do end up losing it. And there was just nothing underneath us. There was just not a lot of confluence. It's very similar here, right? You have the golden pocket, you have the 786, right? But other than that, all the confluence is down here. Very similar to the idea of if we lost this level, where was the next big area of confluence? It was all down here, right? So lose this, right? Very likely we get sucked into this next high time frame confluence / just look at the volume profiles. Lose this value area, whether you're looking at it as a local profile or you're looking at it, or you're looking at it as the larger profile. Lose this value. Price is going to seek out the next area of fair value more often than not, right? This is how the market moves. Can't hold this value, impulse out of it, price is going to gravitate into this value. And not only gravitate into this value generally, but respect the levels perfectly within the profile. Little bounce off the value area high, acceptance in, POC, little stick, lose it, value area low. This is how the market moves, right? That's why I love the volume profiles. Absolutely goated. Shout out to shout out to Maybe Band-Aid. Thank you for the super chat. Said hashtag not my inhaler. What inhaler? What is an inhaler that you guys talk about? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Shout out to Maybe a Band-Aid. Shout out to the Sleepy Ape. Thank you for the super chat. Said, Frankie, it's being reported that the U.S. is about to attack Iran. Oh, God. If this occurs, how will this affect BTC? 10 to 15% drop is my feeling. Shout out to Sleepy Ape. Well, let's measure it here. 10 to 15% drop to the downside from where we are right now. Interesting. Right? Now, we have not really had any like super bearish narratives come in just yet. I know Bitcoin was mentioned in the infamous files. I don't know if I would consider that like a massive bearish narrative. But that would fit alongside more of a much more bearish narrative. And when you ask me, right, I'm always going to take a chart-based perspective or chart-based view on the market, right? So like if we got another drop to the downside, regardless of why it happened, this would just still be my next major area of interest. If we can't hold that, right, like there's no guarantee that you have to hold this and print the daily bull dip. If you just ended up melting through those levels, I'm looking down towards 47K, right? I can't guarantee that you you 100% will get the bounce here, 100% will get the bounce here. But I will say, if you're going to bounce, there is an infinitely higher probability that the bounce will happen inside one of these levels, right? And that's why I never trade with limit orders, right? At least for my like leverage trading strategy, right? I never just set limit orders, because if we came down here, we did not have any low time frame entry triggers. More often than not, I'm sitting on my hands, and that was perfectly exemplified through here, right? We were holding the shorts from 98K and above, or 98 to 90K. Once we broke into this profile, right, it's like, regardless of like, you know, oh my God, it's happening because of this, it's happening because of that. I'm just looking at this as get accepted into this profile. POC value very low is the highest probability, right? Said this on the live stream during the drop, right? Like, not interested in catching any knives here, right? Because at the end of the day, when you have a big capitulation down like we were having, especially inside the volume profile, I'm just not looking for like massive bounces off these value area levels, right? I'm just going to be looking for at least the full fill to the value area low. So I would take a chart-based perspective. It is kind of interesting that I don't know what exactly makes you look for a 15% bounce or 15% dump, but it would bring you like right into that zone. So again, I would just view it from a chart perspective. But I do think, right, obviously that news could definitely give you the power to push down here. But isn't it interesting that has already been my bias for very long, right? And I'm not saying it has to happen because it's my bias, but you know, if that does end up playing out, we'll just sit here and be like, people be like, oh my God, the bad news dumped the price. And I'll just be like, well, money flows in the red, looking for the continuation down, preferring the break of the low. Like, it just, more often than not, it does play out with what the charts are looking like. The charts have a funny way of telling you where price is going to go before the narratives or the news actually make price move. Let's see. Shout out to Trial, said if we go down to 59K, is it more likely to take a few days or in the next 24 hours? Shout out to Trial. The timing is very difficult to call. It could be either way. There's just no, I personally don't know. The way I handle that is, like, again, setting traps in the market, right? Trading is more about setting traps than just jumping on the chart and going, should I long or short here, right? You want to wait for the setups, right? So whether this happens, if we get pushed down here today, right, well, I'll be interested in that level today. If we bing bong around and then we come down here in 2 weeks, I'll be interested in that level in 2 weeks. If it takes a month, I'll be interested in it in 2 months. If we get a big retracement and then a massive dump down here in 3 months, whatever it is, then I'll be interested then, right? So it's an if this, then that, timing is very hard to call. We could try to front run it, right? Like daily red dot printing. If we just got bad news right now and we came down to take the low, well, hey, it would set up that bull div like perfectly. But I can't really predict that, right? That'd be kind of like a really speculative guess. Shout out to Kodak, said if you have eyes, you're good to go. Charts never lie. We just wait for Fox News to announce it. Yeah, shout out to they should just have the Candle Mafia come up. All right, Candle Mafia. Is there a bad news coming? Well, the charts are looking bearish. I don't know what the news is going to be, but there is some kind of bad news coming. And you could always try to figure out what the news is going to be. A lot of times, right, like especially in previous bear markets, I always bring up the cycle chart where we have all the news marked out. I actually accidentally deleted the Terra Luna and FTX collapses, but a lot of times it's unexpected, right? No one was, for the most part, not a lot of people were expecting the collapse of Terra Luna. Not a lot of people were expecting the collapse of FTX, right? At least from a mass level. So it's like a lot of times it's like unpredictable. Maybe you could guess it. Maybe it will be the attacks or something like that. Who knows? But at the end of the day, like historically, they are typically pretty unpredictable. So I just don't really have any interest in figuring out what it is. But would not be surprised, right? Like bear market, bullish news at the top, 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 bearish news pretty much at the bottom, and then one last bearish news at the bottom, send it back up, right? So we would kind of be in a situation where if you're going to be on a lookout for bad news to drop price again, it is just kind of the perfect time. But we'll see. Winter is coming. Shout out to Spiky. Shout out to Christian, said, hey, Frankie, a new guy here. Shout out to new guy. Said, can you let me know the name of the indicator at the bottom? That is Market Cipher. Well, technically it's Market Cipher B, but it's just Market Cipher. You can check the link in the description if you want to get a discount. It also helps support the channel, obviously. But you get to save money, so it's a win-win situation. It is a paid indicator, obviously. But yeah, Market Cipher. March and April will have a bottom. Yeah, I mean, when we take a higher time frame view, guys, again, like as the lower time frames are kind of just not moving too much, I hate to just continuously talk about this, but, as I've talked about, I do think personally, right, this is my personal opinion, not financial advice. I have been wrong before. We're right way more than we're wrong, but I have been wrong before. I will be wrong again. It's just the name of the game. But in my own personal opinion, I do think, right, like a lot of people who are just like starting to get bearish down here have a high risk of being late to the bottom, right? I've been saying, hashtag 2026 bottom watch. It doesn't mean we can't go lower, right? But like at this point, right, we've already gone from 126K to 60K, right, essentially. At this point, right, like all these drops down, like I am interested in looking for bottom signals, right? Doesn't mean you can't go lower. But it's very similar to like you get your first big capitulations down here. Then at this point, right, people are starting to call for 8K, 3K, Bitcoin's going to zero. At that point, right, you're much better off saying like, hey, these next big drops down could be like the final last washout. And even like if you, not that I would ever recommend putting your whole spot bag in the market at one time. I typically like to dollar cost average. It's much less stressful. It's DCA is the way, as they say. But didn't even mean to rhyme it that much. But once you get down here, if you put your whole bag in here, right, like what did you miss the bottom by, right? You missed the bottom by 13%, right? You're very unlikely to catch the actual bottom. Like even me, my average entry price was about $20,000 to $21,000. Even someone like me who has like watched the charts 24/7 almost, knows the bottom signals to look for. Like I'm never just like, oh, that's it, guys. 15K is the bottom. I kind of talk about this a lot. It's never, 15K is the bottom. It's like, hey, we're looking for specific bottom confirmations. I'm dollar cost averaging in after we're already down. I started dollar cost averaging on this drop about 62% down. Dollar cost average, right? Weighted dollar cost average, meaning putting a higher percentage of my portfolio as price drops, helping you lower your average entry price, right? I don't care if I go from 15K to 126K or 20K to 126K, right? You're still making massive gains and you don't have to really worry about like missing the bottom. But it's like, everybody wants like, oh, is the bottom in? Oh, is the bottom in? Oh, is the bottom in, right, on that first drop? A lot of times you need some time to see if you're going to get those bottom confirmations, right? And even if you don't get a significant bottom confirmation like we did here on the weekly bullish divergence, which was exactly what we were looking for, right? Higher lows, lower lows. At this point, I'd already been heavily allocated to the market. And once that prints, I say to myself, well, hey, I'm going to continue dollar cost averaging in pretty much until we broke this high. And then you wind up at that point, right? Bull divs confirmed. Money flow starts coming back up. Looks like the bottom's in. I'm happy with my position. And we go ahead and enjoy, 500% gains from there. So it's the same thing on the tops, right? You guys will know, although 108K was really the first warning shots that we started talking about. Hey, guys, this doesn't look good. 126K, we have to start looking at this as potentially the top of the bull market. It wasn't, we tapped 126K. That's it. The top is in. I got the little sell signal. It's not like that, right? You have to let the price action develop. It wasn't really until we wound up getting our first bigger pullback, right? And then we start playing around in here that we say, well, hey, money flow is starting to come out pretty aggressively on the weekly, right? Not looking very good. We also had our 2-day money flow, right? Because that weekly money flow takes a long time to develop, but like you start to get that 2-day money flow coming out as well, clearly trending to the downside, indicating lower highs and lower lows. If we are going to put in lower highs and lower lows, right, this late in the cycle, as we're losing the 50-week moving average, that is where it's like, hey, guys, this looks like the top is probably in. It's never at the tippy top. So it's the same thing down here, right? It's very hard for me to say, oh my God, the bottom's in, right? I can't really say that. I don't really have any signals, but at the end of the day, right, if we end up wiggling around here, right, we could start to get a little bit more development on the price action, right? Maybe we kind of bounce around. Once we have that price action to look at, we could try to identify what money flow is doing, what kind of bottom signals we have, and then, start to identify like, all right, well, hey guys, now it looks like the bottom is in because we have massive bullish confirmations confirmed and money flow is coming back up. But that doesn't mean that, like, you don't have to buy, right, until that happens, right? I guess you could, right? Here, you would have been, if you put your whole bag in, like, as those confirmations were, like, purely confirmed, right, you would have been in about 24,000, still a beautiful entry. But that's why I always recommend dollar cost averaging, right? The caveat here is if we end up losing 47K, couple different ways you can handle that, right? Like you could either weighted dollar cost average. You know, if you think 30K is coming in, maybe you just want to sit out. You have to make those decisions for yourself. But the only thing here is if we lose 47K, right, that's like another massive drop to the downside, in my opinion, towards $30,000 and potential deviations below that low. So that's kind of, you know, we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But, you know, I am interested in starting to look for bottoms rather than being like, oh my God, guys, this looks really bad. We're probably in store for some pain here. It's more like, sure, the pain could continue, but it's not like, oh my God, this is the start of the pain. I guess you could argue, you know, still not the start of the pain, even if we went down to 30K. This is not the start of the pain, right? The start of the pain was up here. So, you know, we'll see what happens. And, of course, I'll keep you guys in the loop every day here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. All right, let's jump into chat here real quick. Shout out to Crypto Cowpoke, said, you can, what's going on, bro? Welcome in. He says, you can always count me in on a good bottom watch. Yeah, we're big bottom watchers here. Let's see. What do you think about that rainbow chart for Bitcoin? Its bottom for the next lows aligned with our levels. Shout out to Olger. Not something I pay super amount of attention to, but hey, it is interesting that it lines up with our levels, right? That's why, you know, I always kind of say, too much information can sometimes be bad information, right? You know, that's why you guys don't see like every moving average on my chart, every key level all at the same time, right? Like, sure, you know, I could start, unhiding all of my key levels, right? But you guys are never going to see me looking at the chart in this perspective, right? It's like, oh my God, like we're going to bounce here, 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 right? That's why I always like to kind of organize my chart into folders, right? It's like, this is my local context. This gives me, you know, a much simpler way to view the market. You know, I could pull up my higher time frame levels, and you know, I don't really look at moving averages too often. Obviously, we looked at the 50-week moving average. That's a very high time frame moving average. That, you know, it's more significant. But people always say, like, why don't you use moving averages, right? Well, it's not because they don't work. It's not because I don't think they're important. It's just that, you know, typically, right, all the moving averages that a lot of people are looking at are going to line up with maybe, you know, I don't know what moving average, again, I don't really look at moving averages that much, but I can almost guarantee you, like, a lot of those key levels, right, are going to be lined up with the key levels that I'm looking at. So, like, there's no reason. I mean, you can maybe look at them, turn them on and off for, like, extra confluence, but I have enough confluence down here. I don't really care if there's a moving average in here as well. So, you know, we're all looking at, you know, if you're looking at the market through moving averages and not horizontal levels, that's fine, right? You know, you just have to pick what works for you. And again, oftentimes they will line up in a very similar place. So not really super shocking that that's the case with the rainbow chart. Yeah, shout out to Kodak, said too much information equals paralysis by analysis. Absolutely, because then you're going to think, oh, I could long this level, but I have like 5-minute resistance above me, and you're just never going to take a position. You're going to get scared. You're going to FOMO in, and that's not really what you want to do. I 100% agree. Shout out to Kodak. Say got 2 to 3 things and stick to them. But you know what really runs through people's head? They're like, yeah, but what if I miss this key level? Then I'm going to miss an opportunity to make money here, right? You have to be okay waiting for your levels, right? You know, for example, if I had a friend that was looking at the chart, let's just say I'm waiting for this level for a long position, right? Let's say this level didn't get tapped and we got the big move up from the front run. And someone else was looking at a key level here. Maybe my friend took a trade here, made a bunch of money on that move up. I'm not upset. I don't care. I don't feel like I missed out. It just is what it is. Price will eventually hit one of my targets, and I'll take that trade. And maybe when I take that trade, someone else missed the trade. You know, don't chase every single trade. That's, you know, it's very difficult to explain to beginner traders, right? Because it's like all they want to do is chase every single move. They get excited. They want to click buy. They want to click sell. But that's not necessarily the right thing to do in order to make money long term, right? There's always going to be bounces in the market, like even here, right? We talked about this. We front ran. We started getting a bounce, right? People are asking, is the bottom in? And I'm like, dude, I can't tell you if the bottom's bottom's in. I mean, I would personally prefer the value area low. I know based off volume, this is why I love volume profiles and order flow. Volume is what moves the market, right? So it's like, this is very high probability, not just because they're random lines on a chart, because this is based off value, right? An actual volume traded in the market. There is a high probability that this level gets tapped, right? And then instead of me sitting here for, oh my God, is the bottom in? Oh my God, I missed the long, right? And if the bottom was in, whatever, right? From a trading perspective, that would be okay. But for me personally, I'd rather wait for the low. And guess what? When we came down to this low, I was not on the charts. This is like right after I got off the live stream. I was eating dinner. I came back to the chart and I was like, of course. We get down to the level. I just wasn't there, right? I'm like, oh my God, I missed the long. No. I made so much money on this short position. I could care less, right? Like missed gains are none of my business, right? There's plenty of opportunities. If you miss the long, you can catch the short. If you miss the short, you can catch a long. But what I would recommend is set your traps in the market, which for me are confluent areas of support and resistance. Set your trap. All right, I'm explaining this almost every live stream, but I think it's super important. Shorts, longs, right? Just from a basic standpoint. If I'm waiting for this level for shorts and this level for longs, I don't care about missing. Oh, I missed a long. Oh, I missed a short. Oh, I missed a long. Oh, I missed a big short. Oh my God, I missed the long. It front ran my level, right? Well, chances are, eventually when it comes down here, that's when you're going to get the big move. And I always try to bring this up. On live price action, right? We front ran this level. Is it impossible to bounce from there? No. But this is really the level I would have been interested in if I was on the chart. And what happens? You get the bigger bounce from there. Doesn't mean that's the low, but you get the bigger bounce from there, right? You don't want to get stuck trying, oh my God, it's going. Oh my God, the bottom's in. Oh my God, the bottom's in. Oh my God, the bottom's in. Just wait for your key level, right? You can just kind of kick your feet back and just wait for that key level. If it doesn't come, no big deal. You'll hit another key level. There's going to be a billion setups tomorrow, the next day, the next month, the next year. Price action moves. At least in crypto, 24/7, right? So you always have opportunities. All right, so let's see here. Shout out to Olger, says, I agree, but it's important that those that do not use our strategies have a narrative to cling on. That the bottom is in and restart the bull run. Yeah, so from like a spot perspective, right, like a long-term cycle perspective, yeah. It's not bad to look at the market through that lens, but, I mean, even then, right, like I just go back to 2021. It's like I did not sit here and be like, oh, my God, guys, like we're going to get Terra Luna is going to collapse. We're going to go down again. Oh, my God, then FTX is going to collapse. Like, that stuff is just like if and when that happens, right? Like a big if. Not that people were trying to really predict that. But for me personally, right, like if you go back, I couldn't tell you what video it is, but I think there was a market update. I don't know exactly what the video it is. It does still live on the channel where we talked about, hey, guys, what can we start looking for to find a bottom here? Well, something I would like from just a chart perspective, emotions aside, narratives aside, news aside, whatever it is, just from a chart perspective, what I would really like to look for to start saying maybe the bottom is in is a weekly bullish divergence. This is binary. It's either there or it's not there. And hilariously enough, of course, you're not going to get it to the, if you actually watch that chart, watch that video, I was actually looking between 14 and 12K, right? If we could put a bull div into 12 to 14K, that would be absolutely beautiful, right? Now, we did not hit 12 to 14K. Does that mean I missed the bottom? Absolutely not, right? Because I understand that from a spot perspective, I'm okay dollar cost averaging into the market, right? So we front run that level. We start getting the bull div. I start saying to myself, well, hey, maybe the bottom's going to come in here. We get the push up. Money flow starts curving back up. I think the bottom's in. I got my nice bottom accumulation, right? And I didn't hit my target. A lot of people would be like, well, you didn't hit your target. Didn't you miss the bottom? No, not at all. Right? If we continue down here, I would continue to dollar cost average into those levels. But you don't always get the targets that you're looking for. But when you look for those signals, that's something that is either going to be there or not. Once that divergence is in above these levels, it's like, well, hey, maybe we're actually going to front run those key levels. At that point, once you see money flow coming back up, you could say to yourself, well, hey, I don't think we're probably going to come back down to those levels. I think the bottom's in, right? And then you enjoy the bull run ahead. Right? You're not trying to FOMO in. Oh, my God. Oh, bullish news. Oh, my God. Trump. Oh, my God. Mainstream. Bitcoin's mainstream. You know, Trump's launching meme coins. So meme coins are going crazy. Oh, my God. Right? It's in the news. Worst time to buy. Right? It's when everybody's scared. You just have your plan. I didn't care what the news was here. It did feel horrible, right? Anytime I've ever gotten a good entry, anytime I bought bottoms, it does. I talk to my dad about this a lot because we always talk to each other because my dad's a trader as well. And he's just like, man, I hope this plays out, man. Like, this is like not looking good. Like, regulation, FTX is going down. That guy Sam Bankman's scamming people. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, but anytime I've ever bought a bottom, Dad, I felt like an idiot. And anytime I've ever sold, right? Like the emotions, I still feel the emotions, guys, right? Like when I sold towards about 108 and 100 and let me come up here real quick, right? I started selling on these. Whoops, not this. Where are we at? Right, on these retracements, right? When I start coming out of the market, right, like I'm thinking like, oh my God, what if this thing goes into all-time highs? I feel that, right? But when the charts are screaming down, it is just a probability-based decision. The higher probability is price goes down. I've already made a ton of money in the bull market from positioning myself well in the bear market. This is where my opportunity was. Even if I sold like here, right? And then it went up for a new all-time high. I still made massive gains, right? Like a win is a win. Just because you missed that last all-time high does not mean you made a bad decision, right? It was a good decision. You bought low and you sold high. But it feels terrible, right? It's like you start pushing up. You're like, oh, my God, maybe I made the wrong decision. But it's like you got to sit on those hands. You make the decision, stick to it. But a lot of people just search for like the guaranteed move. And I try to be as transparent as possible here. Like, hey, guys, new all-time highs is looking very unlikely, right? Looks like 126K could be the top. This is what I'm doing, right? I will pull out of the market on retracements, right? I'm not upset that I missed selling at 126K. Shout out to my dad. He sold at like 124K. Bro top ticked it. But it is, you got to not worry about, don't miss the forest for the trees, I guess is the best way to say it. Don't miss the dollars for the pennies. Good news is after the bottom, we got 4 years to the next bull. Shout out to onward and upward, as I say. Especially on alts, it can short squeeze like nothing else. If you see bull divs on a weekly DCA into that altcoin, shout out to Kodak. Yeah, I have a... maybe I'll drop like a longer kind of major altcoin kind of video. I was very happy with the way I was allocated to altcoins. I was much less allocated to altcoins portfolio percentage-wise in this cycle than the past cycle. Wound up being a really good decision, right? Not because I expected altcoins to underperform as much as they did, but, the longer I'm in crypto, the higher my capital goes, right? It just becomes more logical for me to kind of weight my portfolio higher into Bitcoin and at least higher cap altcoins than it does for me to just chase every low cap altcoin. 80% of altcoins are never going to go back to all-time highs. You can actually look at this. It's been the case in the past. And now with all the altcoins that we have in the market, right, like the liquidity is going to have a lot of trouble getting to all those altcoins, right? So I've talked about this even during this bull run about how I think gone are the days of 2017, 2021 style alt seasons. Not that we'll never get another alt season necessarily, but you have to be a lot more picky and not marry your altcoin. Altcoins have this very tribal nature to them. I'm on this team. It's almost like sports, right? That's my coin. We're going to make it. I believe in this coin, right? When in reality, right, there's a difference. I'm all there for the community and all that, but at the end of the day, it's like most of those assets are going to be dead long term, right? It's just like I compare it to the .com bubble. Back in the day, you put .com in your company name, boom, your stock explodes, right? But like most of those internet companies are non-existent anymore, right? Only like the few big ones wind up making it. So, it's very similar with altcoins in my opinion, right? And I think comparing it to the .com bubble is very similar. Like 80%, maybe even more altcoins of 80% of altcoins like will just never make it back to their all-time highs. That's why, for me personally, right, I am in this market to make money, right? Of course, I love the decentralized aspect of it. I think everybody kind of comes from that frame, right? And I come from that frame as well. But at the end of the day, I think people are lying to themselves if they're not here to make money. And the way to make money is to not marry your altcoin, right? Like take XRP, for example, is like a perfect example of this, right? It's like, I'm not saying XRP won't do well in the future, but it's like, up here, it's like, oh my God, on this day, we're going to $100. They're going to flip the switch on this day. Narrative. Just very, very tribal. This is, we are going to make it. We put in the sacrifices. And it's just like, XRP is sitting at $1.40. So again, it's not that I don't think it'll perform well in the future, but I just, stress, right? When you look at the charts and you see the key resistances hit and the charts are screaming down, it is much better to capitalize when price is low, right? Now it sounds so elementary. Buy low, sell high. This is a simple thing that a lot of people cannot do. It's because they're holding on to hope. I want to make more. Greed, right? Oh my God, I'm going to panic sell. Fear. Right? You just base it off the actual data on the charts and you can actually make that money. It doesn't mean that you can't buy it again, right? You can still be part of that tribe. But, preserve some of your capital, make your money, realize the profits, right? The market doesn't care if you want to make $100,000 in the next bull run, $1 million in the next bull run. The market does not care about that, right? The market cares about anything other than that, right? So you got to kind of have that's why we say base your targets off of technicals, right? Not just some narrative that may or probably won't happen. It's just a very logical way, right, to look at the market. And if you want to make money, that's kind of how you have to look at it. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is what it is, right? It's how markets move. Let's see. XRP paid tribalism is crazy, and I hold a ton. I did. I sold a while ago, but I'll be buying back in once it hits $1 again. Yeah, shout out to Iron. Yeah, it's not like you can make money, right? Like when I sell Bitcoin when I sold Bitcoin in the previous cycle, right? It wasn't because I was leaving Team Bitcoin. I was just like, well, it's just beneficial for me to take my profits and then buy back in lower, right? And then take profits, buy back in lower. But I think a lot of people they take that tribal view. It's very dangerous. The market doesn't care about what team you're on, right? Can we take a look at Zcash? Shout out to DDT Trades. Can take a quick look at Zcash. Take a look at it on the alt template here. Actually, let me take a look at the... Oh, yeah. All right, so obviously we actually had a short setup here in the premium Discord. And here it is, right? Looking for price to come back down and eventually, actually that was setup number 2. I think it was setup number 1, right? Looking for price to eventually get back down here to the value area high. We came down to that value area high. We flipped it to support. We got the push up. Now we're coming back down pretty brutally. I mean, I would have a very similar stance on this as most of the other altcoins, right? This was like an absolutely beautiful move here. I capitalized on the first drop down and accidentally closed my whole position. Tried to take partial profits, but a lot of the Mafia held this, and we did wind up hitting that final target, which was technically right here, for a beautiful 55% dump to the downside. An eventual 65% dump to the downside. But we've actually covered this recently. The biggest levels to look at were Golden Pocket 786 retracements, right? And like almost every bigger drop that we got here wound up putting in a lower high on the Golden Pocket 786, right? Just like beautiful like rejections off the exact levels that you would hope for. I'll pull up the 4-hour here. Come on, right? And I actually think this high was based off a Golden Pocket as well, right? So the first drop was based off this Golden Pocket retest, bearish confirmations, took the short. We got the drop into the value area low, right? You put in the lower low, you get a lower high, kind of faked out your Golden Pocket 786 here, and then pretty much the entire way down, right? You just get those beautiful Golden Pocket retracements, right? When you're looking for the lower highs and the lower lows, right? The highest probability area for those to come in at is going to be the Golden Pocket 786. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then if we pull this fib right here from the lower high to the lower low, you can see we have tapped into that Golden Pocket. So not impossible for the lower high to come in here. I would be open to potentially getting a push into that 786. So if you do get like another push to the upside, I would say the biggest level actually, let's pull up some of these levels as well. Yeah, so I would say this is kind of your biggest level of resistance. If you get another push up, hide this Golden Pocket. You have the 786 sitting here right on top of the value area low. You also have a Golden Pocket sitting in there as well. 2 daily MPOCs in there, right? So, I mean, this is... value area low to the Golden Pocket is a pretty big level of resistance. I mean, this would be absolutely key resistance. Let's check the weekly. Got a weekly MPOC just above that. And then, of course, I already have that 786 sitting in there as well. So if we get another break of this high for some reason, could be another opportunity to look for a lower high and a lower low. Once we break back into this profile, I would like to break this 786, to be honest. If you break 438, I'd be looking to come up to the value area high and potentially beyond. I don't know how high probability that is. When you take a look at the higher time frames, let's take a look at the 3-day. 3-day money flow, tempting to trend out here. You got a 3-day red dot potentially looking to print. I would not be looking for a short here, right? If I didn't short it at this high, right, I missed that move. I would have to wait for another push up. If I don't get that push up, well, I missed the short. That's totally fine. Let's see, 4-day money flow, attempting to come back up. 5-day money flow kind of flat. 6-day. Weekly money flow coming out as well. So when I look at this from a high time frame perspective, this is just like on Bitcoin, right? This money flow starts coming out. That green dot might be able to give you another bounce, but I'd still be interested in looking for lower highs and lower lows there. And then if you do get that, right, we'll be looking for a move back into this profile. Your next major key level would be the POC at about $1.40. Just like the final target for the short was the value area high, right? If you wind up, if anyone's still holding this from the premium Discord, right? If you wanted to hold this with massive profits locked in, stop loss at break even, right? It's like a free short. You lose this value area high, lose these daily MPOCs at about 223, can't get out of this profile. Next major target would be the POC of that range, right? Whether you get the push back up or you just come down from here, get in here, POC is the next target, lose the POC, value area low would be sitting around $102. So we'll see. I'll leave this target here on the POC, and we'll see if we get that retracement. But if you did get the retracement, I would say biggest level to look at, in my opinion, right? Now you have like a clear value area here with a golden pocket confluence, daily MPOC confluence, local 786 confluence. I would say if you're able to get a continuation up here, that would be the place I'd look for the rejection. Can't guarantee it's going to happen, right? I would need to see the confirmations. I would never just set a limit order there. But that would just be like bearish back test of the range, golden pocket retracement. Again, big area to look at for a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low, right? Eventually dragging you down below 185. So that's what I would look at here on Zcash. Yeah, shout out to Capital said, yeah, but PTC tribalists are billionaires if they held from the beginning. Yes, most people don't have that. Most people don't do that, right? Most people will panic sell on the drops, right? Buy in at the highs, panic sell at the drops, buy in at the highs, panic sell on the drops. But yeah, my basic words of advice to people that ask me in my personal life if they should invest in crypto is when Bitcoin collapses, dollar cost average in and hold it for 5 to 10 years, right? And then just don't even look at it, right? Just slowly dollar cost average in the next 10 years, you'll very likely be in profit. I don't ever try to be like, oh, start looking at the charts, right? Especially if I know that, they are not in a position to be a trader, right? I would say like most people, a lot of people are not in the position in their life to be a day trader, right? That doesn't mean you can't be a day trader, but I always say this, right? Like if you have a family, if you have a full-time job, right? Like you're gonna have a really tough time scalping the 5-minute time frame, scalping the 1-hour time frame, right? Like you're gonna have a hard time day trading because you just don't have the free time. And I think a lot of people probably don't understand the sacrifice that it takes to build this skill. And that's why I'm here to try to expedite your process, right? Like help you skip a lot of the mistakes that I made to kind of like help you make your journey a lot faster. But I think whether you have someone like me or not, there's a lot of hard work, discipline, and learning through mistakes, right? And sticking through the hard times to get out on the other side. That most people, from a general masses perspective, are just not willing to do, right? Like, a lot of people have hobbies they don't want to give up, which is totally fine, right? But like you're going to have to, it's the people that put the extra work in, that sacrifice the things that they do in their life now to learn that skill, right? Like you could just like, how bad do you want it, right? There's never going to be, someone said in the chat before, there's never going to be someone that's going to be able to tell you, hey, buy here, sell here, right? It's not that easy. If it was that easy, nobody would have a job. But it's the people that, the very small percentage of people that actually are down to sacrifice. When I was learning how to trade, not only was it like a sacrifice from a financial perspective, right? And I I've had full-time jobs before, but for a majority of my adult life, I had my own businesses. I've tried a bunch of online businesses. I had some other businesses. So I had a little bit more freedom of my time. But I'm dealing with everybody in my life telling me like, hey, like, I don't know if you're ever going to make it doing that, man. Like, maybe it's time to just go get a 9 to 5, right? Like, there's even like that emotional and mental stress that you have of people around you who generally probably just have your best interest at heart. But it kind of feels like hate, right? So I saw an Instagram reel recently that was like, oh, you want to make it? You want to know how to make it? Go against what everybody tells you. Sleep in your car for a year. Have everybody tell you that you're a failure and you're doing the wrong thing. And like, he was just explaining like the hardships that no one really talks about. Try 100 times, fail 100 times, feel like you're never going to make it, keep going through the BS, right? And then maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to make it on the other at the other end, right? Like, people who say, people who call you crazy for what you're doing are the same people who will ask you how you did it in the end. A lot of people are like, wow, man, like, you're actually making money trading. And it's like, how'd you do it? Like, what happened? You figured it out? You found a magic indicator? It's like, no, dude. I developed the skill slowly over time and failed 1,000,000 times and just didn't stop, right? Like, remember when you were telling me I was an idiot, right? Like, I didn't listen to that. That was like part of the reason why I got to where I am now. And it's a big thing a lot of people don't talk about. Progressive DCA 2017, 2019, and sell 30% between 110 and 104. No, I make the next progressive DCA every step deeper. I buy double. Shout out to sounds like a weighted dollar cost average situation. Shout out to Dare says, all right, all in right now. I got you. See you in 5 years. We'll see you, brother. We'll see you. Hopefully in profit. Shout out to Bailey, said super ultra mega wreck, but still trying, Frankie. Shout out to Bailey. That's you have one of the intangibles, bro. It's one of the intangibles, right? Like, it's really easy to get into crypto. And, I see this with a lot of people in my life, right? They're like, I bought the altcoins. They didn't go up. I'm done. I'm like, well, like, they're like, yeah, well, I put all my extra cash in altcoins, and I bought it as it was going up, and now I'm wrecked. Like, I'm just done with this. As soon as they go back to break even, I'm out forever. And I'm like, man, you have the wrong idea. You just thought you were going to buy the altcoin, get rich overnight, and, like, everything was going to be all good. I wish it was that easy. Sometimes you can get lucky, sure. But that doesn't happen as often as, buying it and just getting wrecked with no plan. And then what happens when it goes back to break even? They're like, oh, my God, it's pumping. I'm going to hold this forever. I'm going to be rich. Like, no, please. Mr. Market said, retail is emotional and uneducated financially. Yeah, for sure. I wish it was just as easy as being like, most people who fail are just making decisions emotionally. Just stop doing that and you'll be successful. And then the only only blank you need to fill in there is find actual data-driven analysis you can use to replace the emotional decision-making. But most people, it's like, and I know this because I still feel the emotions, and I started off making all my decisions based off the emotions. But I don't know. Maybe I got this far because I'm dumb, right? Maybe I just, like, should have gave up, right? I don't know. But, like, it's just like, I touched the hot stove so many times. And to the point where I even knew the mistakes I was making, I just kept making them because I couldn't control my emotions. I was like, I'm going to FOMO in again. I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Screw it. Why did I make that decision? Right? It's just illogical. That's why, honestly, journaling your trades is very important. Mark off, like, if you lost a trade, right, and you made a mistake, write the mistake. I FOMO'd in too late. I moved my stop loss. Why? What was the emotion? Was I fearful? Was I greedy? Was I bored? Right? There's a plethora of emotions that can cause bad trades, right? And I actually talked about this on one of the longs that I got stopped out of recently. Again, it's a little bit of a different situation because I took the trade knowing it was low probability, and I got stopped out with good risk management, right? So it's like not like I got wrecked or anything. So like I'm at a point in my career where, I could take a lower probability trade, and it's like if I get stopped out, whatever, I'll lose a few bucks, no big deal, right? And of course I'm heavily hedged short. But it's like, the last long position I took is like wasn't a ton of or last short I took was right here, right? And technically it was taken off valid information, right? We SFP'd the highs. We did come down, right? So you could argue technically I could have gotten that move of, 1%, close the trade, successful trade, right? But I was looking for a bigger pullback. If I had to judge this trade that I took, why should I not have taken this trade? Right? Well, at the end of the day, I hit a key level. I got the SFP. Key level, entry confirmation. That's good enough for me. I didn't have a lot of confluence. That was the one bad thing. And why did I take it anyway? Maybe I was a little bit bored, right? So, like, I'm not impervious to the emotions either. But the difference is I'm not shorting here with my whole account, no stop loss. Oh, my God, I'm bored. I want to get rich right now, right? So, you know, it's a long, long road. Anyway, let's see. Trying to keep my sanity. Shout out to NW, New World Crypto. Dang, it's frustrating and emotional mess. Yes, shout out to NW. That is not a problem. That just is what it is. So understand that, right? I think I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I have a high mental pain tolerance. I'm going to get a proper notebook for this so I can actually start journaling and getting better. Shout out to Brillo. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, right? Because then you can look back, right? Like, I used to journal my trades. I don't know where that notebook is. I'll probably find it one day. But I'll probably look back at that notebook. Like, sometimes I look back at 2016 in my crypto group chat, and it's like I look back at those messages I was sending, the pictures of the charts I was sending, and I was just like, man, I was bad. I was bad, bro. And it's just like, it actually kind of like, you know, I look back at that and I'm just like, you know, you could look back in your trading journal and be like, oh my God, look at these losses that I took. Oh, I was FOMOing in after a 4% move up. What the heck was I doing? And it's you don't realize how clear of a mistake you were making until you can look back. But most people just blame something else. They're like, they'll strategy hop. That's a huge problem with new traders, right? They just strategy hop. They strategy hop. They strategy hop. I got stopped out 3 times in a row. I'm switching my strategy. I got liquidated. I'm switching my strategy, right? But when really the most of the issues there are from a trading discipline and trade management standpoint, not a strategy standpoint. Whether you're trading patterns, ICT, volume profiles, which not only I favor because it works really well for me, but also I do believe, if you look it up, right, it is one of the highest profitable strategies, right? It's old as time, and the reason for that is because it's actually based off what moves the market, which is volume. But whether you're trading patterns, it doesn't matter. Support and resistance, supply and demand, it does not matter what you're trading, right? Most of these strategies are profitable enough with good risk management to make money over time, right? But that road doesn't look like this. Put $1,000 into account, now I have 10K 3 days later. It doesn't look like that. That's not the reality of trading. This is not what a trading journey looks like. If it looks like this in the beginning, you might have gotten lucky, right? But over time, you're going to catch another trade, think it's going to play out the same, and you're just going to nuke your account just as fast. Singles and doubles. This is sauce, right? Like singles and doubles. And honestly, it's almost like I recognize this in my own life, right? Oftentimes, looking back, you know, it wasn't easy to understand in the moment, but looking back, all the good advice I have ever gotten, some of the best advice I had ever gotten, was the advice I didn't want to hear, right? They tell me the advice, la, 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 I don't care, from a trading perspective, from a life perspective, right? But usually it's the advice that you don't want to hear that winds up being the important advice. And a lot of people don't want to hear that trading is a long journey, right? You're not going to start trading today and be profitable tomorrow. You're not going to be profitable in a month, right? You're probably going to lose money. Right? That's why I set realistic expectations. And we've seen a lot of CandleMafia members in the premium Discord, even just watching these free live streams, the ones who understand that and actually execute on the data-driven analysis and understand that they, you know, hey, man, I'm getting wrecked, but I know that, you know, this is, you know, I got to control my emotions. I understood the mistake that I made, and now I can move forward and fix them. If you can't have self-accountability and identify the mistakes that you made, it's natural. Humans don't want to blame themselves, right? Humans want to blame the strategy. They want to blame the TA. Worst of all, they want to blame their friend that told them to buy a meme coin, right? If you buy a meme coin that your friend told you was going to 50x and it goes to 0, that is not your friend's fault, right? You did 0 research. Not that, you know, you have to identify the mistakes you made so you could fix them going forward, right? And I'm speaking from experience, right? I've made all those mistakes. I've blamed other people. But as soon as you could take that self-accountability, what did I do? Why did I lose this trade? I got greedy. I just took random advice from somebody. I looked for someone to tell me when to buy and when to sell, right? Whatever it is, when you identify that mistake, you can then, that's where you get the power to actually fix the mistake and level up, right? If you just keep blaming other people, you take control out of your own hands. You're just going to look for something else that's not just going to automatically make you rich, and you're going to blame that. What are you doing? You're taking control away from yourself. You're losing all control, right? So the more self-accountability you can have, the more control you have, and the faster your journey will be, right? And I know that's not a lot. A lot of people just want to hear the magical strategy, right? It just doesn't exist, right? And if that's the advice, if you're sitting there like, I hate this guy, la 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 la, I'm gonna find the strategy. I'm special. I'm gonna find the strategy. It's probably a big sign. That's the advice you need to hear. Let's see. Accepting I'm down immensely and not revenge gambling, trying to get back is what I'm going through. Yeah, shout out to Overcome. You will overcome that, bro. You're identifying it, right? That's the biggest part. I gave myself $150 a month, and I only lost money when I didn't set a stop loss, but I've learned to pull fibs and profiles from your series and lives. I took a month off. I'm ready to try again. Shout out to Kyle. Let's go, bro. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see here. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. Just turned 18. Any advice? Shout out to ANP. Shout out to you, bro. You got time on your side, bro. You got time on your side. Any advice, bro? If you want to learn how to trade, treat it like college, bro. Treat it like college. You're going to be in college for 4 years. If you go to college and you spend $50,000 to go to college, you're not going to complain why you don't have the highest paying job on your second year in college, right? You're just going to be like, this is the learning process. I would recommend, it doesn't have to take you 4 years, but say to yourself, I'm 18, I'm going to go to the college of trading. I don't care. I have no expectation of making money. I don't care if I make money. I'm probably very likely going to lose money in that 4 years of learning. Don't risk too much. Don't risk more than you're willing to lose. Start off demo trading maybe, and give yourself that long time horizon. Extending that time horizon will emotionally detach you from trying to get rich overnight, which will in turn delete your emotions, right, or mute your emotions and help you make logical decisions based off the market, right, or actual data on the chart, right? And then very likely, it probably won't take you 4 years, but give yourself those 4 years. If you don't start making money in the first year, that's just part of the process. You don't make money in the second year, part of the process. Now, again, it doesn't have to take that 4 years, but it's important that you just say to yourself, if you say to yourself, I don't care if I make money trading in the next 4 years, I'm just going to focus on following the system, learning the TA, learning the strategies, and following the rules. And if you could say, I'm okay with that, you're already ahead of the game. If you say that to yourself and you go, nah, I don't want to wait, it takes 4 years, that's not worth it. Trust me, number one, it is worth it to have one of the best jobs in the world where you can print money on a computer by clicking buttons once you go through those hardships. But if you say that to yourself, nah, that's not fast enough. I want to make money faster than that. Remember, it can happen faster. But if you don't like that, if you can't accept that it might take that long, you're gonna it's gonna extend your journey. It might take longer, right? So that's my advice to you. But you got time on your side, bro. You're young. Props to you. The fact that you're watching a crypto live stream and you're not like playing a video game right now or watching some sport or something like that, and you're spending your time trying to learn, already shows that you have ambition to make yourself something more than a normal person. So you're already ahead of the game, bro. The fact that you're in a crypto live stream is lit. Yeah, shout out to Crypto for Gain said, I'm a noob. I lost 8K because I thought it will go back up. It will go back up. No stop loss and keep throwing liquidity into extending the liquidation level. Ooh, yeah, shout out to Crypto for Gains. I've learned the hard way. I'd be lying to you if I said I never done that, bro. So, yeah, definitely a very common thing. That is something I never do anymore. Dollar cost averaging into a position is different than just trying to lower your liquidation level, hoping it goes back up, because we all know crypto can move fast. So it's like, I can't go any lower than this. Look at this. We got to bounce from here. Shroop, right? So, yeah, these are all mistakes that I've made, guys. I speak from experience, right? Shout out to Perry, said, Frankie, I can say I'm working full-time and still trade in the same time. I'm here for the long term. I'm here for the long run. I want to improve my skill and quit my job. Shout out to Perry. It's a great goal, bro. And, of course, right, I always say this, depending on your job, right? Like, if you're a security guard and you're sitting there at early hours of the morning, like, I don't know, at a front desk where you don't really have to interact with a lot of people, you're kind of just on watch, you have a lot of free time, use that time. You're getting paid at your job, use that time to absorb information. Watch my videos, right? Watch the YouTube channel. It's basically a free trading course, right? Watch the beginner series. Start there, right? Spend that time. Take notes. Don't just watch the video. You can't just watch one tutorial video and start making money instantly, right? I mean, maybe you could, but that's not like long term, right? Take those videos, watch them, take notes, go back on the chart, use bar replay mode. Bar replay mode is like such a great tool. You can go into bar replay mode. And not only that, I wish this was, I don't think TradingView had this when I was learning, but not only can you just go into bar replay mode so you don't have to wait for the price action to actually develop, learn the TA, set some volume profiles, mess it up, right? On replay mode, you can actually enter paper trades on TradingView and track your progress, right? Oh my God, we're getting up to the value area high. Maybe I want to look for a short back down to the POC. Let me see, bearish divergences, higher highs, lower highs. Oh, we hit the POC, right? You can actually put those trades in on demo on TradingView, and it'll track your P&L for you. You got to put in that work, right? Like bar replay mode is like going to the gym for a trader. They had bar replay mode when I was learning, but I don't think they had the demo trading where they tracked your P&L. Super useful. And then you'll also understand like where you make mistakes, right? Oh my God, I tried to short here. Let me try to figure out why that didn't go my way. Oh, I didn't see the 4-hour money flow crossing into the green, right? Whatever it is. But let's see here. What's going on Bitcoin? All right, she's just kind of bing-bonging around. Do something. Brutal. Oh, man. Let's see here. 24-minute, 45-minute green dot. 3-minute money flow. Attempting to come up here. If we're going to continue up here, I would be looking for this 3-minute money flow. I'll set an alert here. See if we can get that crossover. See if we get that 3-minute money flow. Little bit of a 45-minute 1/16 strategy here with the 45-minute green dot and 3-minute money flow. Again, wouldn't be expecting too much out of this, even if we get the 3-minute money flow crossover. But let's see if we can get a move here. Come on. Might have to print another red dot first, so you might get a little bit more turbulence here before we see that play out. Let's see. Shout out to N4. Says, Frankie, I started with a $200 account. My target is $7 million for the next bull market. Do you think that's possible? Shout out to N4. I think he's joking. You might want to just take that $200 and, I don't know, put maybe $15 into every meme coin and just accept that it's all probably going to go to zero, and then maybe there's a 0.000000001% chance that one of those 2 billion X's. Shout out to N4. Maybe Frankie without a hat equals bullish divergence. Maybe. I'm not maybe there's a reason we're not wearing the hats anymore, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm not wearing the hats anymore. I just got a fresh cut. I might as well use it for the 3 days that it'll look decent. I'll look like a, I don't know, I'll look like a homeless person probably by next week. All right. And there we go. Red candle printing. Should we pull up do we have to pull up the 1 second time frame here? Shout out to Crypto for Gains. Said I also need market cipher for money flow, but I got no money. Shout out to Crypto for Gains. Well, you got me. You got me, brother. You got me showing the money flow here. So use me as a market cipher proxy. All right, so we'll keep an eye on this. Somebody says, where'd that go? 37K low in May or October. What's your take? That would be more on the kind of traditional 4-year cycle path. Definitely not impossible. Just mark out 37K real quick. Actually, I'll pull it up over here. Do want to pull up, I believe we have a weekly MPOC before the, what is that down there? Hang on. Yeah, so you got a monthly MPOC at 37K. I knew we had something down there. So here's the thing, right? In order for me to start looking down there, I would not be looking down there until we start losing 47.5 at this point of control, right? So, like, first drop down, right? I'd be interested in bounces from this zone. Once we start losing 47K, that's where I think it's very high probability that, you have the monthly naked point of control there at 37K almost perfectly. So you do have a major key level there. I would probably be viewing this as a larger zone between the value area low and the monthly MPOC. Because, like, once we get down there, let me pull this fib real quick. Yeah, you have your macro 786 in there as well. So you do have a key support zone there. Definitely an area of interest. Bringing it till October would kind of give you more of the 4-year cycle kind of viewpoint from a timing perspective. Right? Get that bottom here in October. That would be more like if the 4-year cycle is just going to repeat one for one. There is reasons why I am interested and hopeful that we could hold these levels. But at the end of the day, if we don't hold them, right, like this level and 30,000 down to about 25K. Like, this would be like 2 major zones of support. I mean, it's possible, but for me personally, right, like in order for me to start looking for that, I would have to break down below this 47K level. Because the 2 kind of major scenarios we're looking for here is like a little bit of a muted bear market compared to what we typically see into our major, right, like retest, slightly slip the all-time highs, hold on top of your previous profile, right? Maybe you get an early bottom. That would be the more bullish case. The more bearish case would be once you lose 47K, you're looking down towards, 37 down to like 30 to 25K. This would be like traditional 4-year cycle where you get like more of a traditional 74, 75% drop to the downside, right? Every bull market and bear market has diminished returns and diminished losses, right? As the asset matures, as the market cap gets higher, as that market cap grows, right? I do this on almost every live stream, right? First, major bear market gave you an 88% dump. Then 2017 gave you like an 83% dump. Then 2021 gave you like a 76% dump. Here it wouldn't be unlikely if we see the 4-year cycle kind of repeat that you see like a 70, in the 37 to 30K range. But again, I wouldn't be looking at that until we lose the 47K point of control. So that's my view on that. Let's see. Shout out to Kyle, said, I've watched the beginner series and I got the TA down. I think I'm going to make myself watch it one more time before I start again and make sure the psychology is dialed in. LFG. Shout out to Kyle. I like it, bro. I like it. Because then, right, you can learn all that stuff. I always say this, you could be a great technical analyst and a terrible trader. So that's obviously a big part of it, right? That's the tools that you need to be a successful trader. Obviously, strategy and TA is a big part of that. But that is all useless without the mindset. And then I don't want to say mindset. That sounds woo-woo. I'm talking about like real psychological discipline, not just like, I can do it, right? But you really only learn that once you have money on the line, right? So like you could be great, like you might have in the beginning of your, live trading journey, you might start to feel, man, I'm like losing money. Like what's going on here? I'm really good at the TA. Why am I losing money? But if you jump into that knowing like, hey, once I load up this account, start trading, I'm probably going to make emotional decisions and you're on the lookout for those. You can be like, oh God, what did I do? I FOMO'd in on the push up. I should have been looking for shorts, right? I got FOMO and I wasn't just listening to the key resistance here with the entry confirmations. So yeah, not a bad thing to do, right? Like kind of master the TA first and then jump into the second more important part of trading, which is exposing yourself to the market financially and then, being on the lookout for, an understanding that you will make mistakes at first. But if you enter that with the headspace of like, hey, I'm probably going to make mistakes here and you're on the lookout for it, and you're not just looking at that as like, why is my TA not playing out? Why am I not making money? You'll be ahead of the game for sure. Let's see. Shout out to N4 said, can I share my progress on trades in the Discord from 200 to 7 million till my liquidation? Yeah, shout out to N4. Bro, if you hit 7 million, bro, from 200. That would be the flip of a lifetime. Shout out to DDT Trade said, do the MPOCs hold weight from post 2024? Yeah. Any naked point of control would hold weight for me personally. The reason you see here that I don't really have any of the older MPOCs on the chart is just because when I pull them, it's harder to get data from back here, right? If I pull the MPOCs on the daily, right, they only populate so far back. You used to, or sometimes you can get them to populate if you go into bar replay mode. I can't, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I can't figure out when it works and when it doesn't work. But yeah, I don't know what it is. But sometimes if you go back into bar replay mode, you can get those older daily MPOCs to pop up. But they're just harder to get from back there. Like even on exo charts, you'd have to like load so much previous data. But it is easier to see like monthly MPOCs from further back because obviously you don't have as much candles to look at or as much data to calculate. Where's it at? All right, so you pull up that monthly MPOCs, you can get them like all the way back here from 2019. But yeah, like these old MPOCs on the monthly, if we ever came down here, this would definitely be a level I'm interested in. This would definitely be a level I'm interested in. Again, that's that 37K MPOC we just talked about. Shout out to Slim Shift Media said, I don't know if I trust this new non-hat wearing Frankie. He sounds the same, but I don't know. He just looks different. Can't be trusted. Might be AI. Shout out to Slim Shift. Yo, shout out to Rudy, bro. I was waiting for you to come in. I was gonna, bro. Rudy sent us a CandleMafia song. Rudy, I need to know, bro. Is that you or is that AI? Bro, if that is you, you got talent, bro. But that song you sent us is high-key fire. Absolutely fire. I was going to play it in the waiting room, but I didn't want to play it without you, bro. If you're in the waiting room on the next stream, we'll play it. Have we already checked ETH? We could take a look at ETH real quick. Let's jump in here. We'll take a look at Solana as well. So Ethereum, again, guys, like I'm not going to spend a ton of time here just because we're literally in the same spot as like the last 5 live streams, right? We got the big move down. We're just chopping sideways. The biggest key levels still remain the same, right? If we cannot reclaim this value area high, right, we do have a 12-hour red dot printing. Let's check the 45-minute money flow coming out here. Let's check the daily. Daily red dot looking to print as well. If we can't reclaim this value area high sitting at $2,011, I would kind of like the same thing that I'm looking for on Bitcoin, which would be a break of the lows, right? We could potentially form a daily bullish divergence. You also have the POC right underneath you there. So biggest key level of resistance locally is going to be $2,011 at the value area high. If we're able to come up and take these highs for whatever reason, the biggest level of resistance remains exactly the same. Value area low, 786, golden pocket sitting between 2318 and 2194. And then your biggest level of support sits down here at the POC 1635, which is confluent, I believe, with a daily level, right? And then, of course, you could pull your fib from the low to the high if you wanted to find some like local levels here. You do have the 786 with a new daily here. This one's tapped, but you do have a new daily right here. Once you lose 1823, I'm looking to take out this low at 1746. So no real big update there, right? Like daily red dot might be able to print. If it does, same thing as Bitcoin, might be able to continue you down. I would prefer to see that daily bullish divergence print, take out the low, and then the support underneath you sits between 1635 and 1578. 4-hour money flow coming back out there. Same thing as Bitcoin, right? 3-hour money flow trying to pop back into the green here. Just super choppy, guys. Super, this is a nasty range. I know a lot of people are viewing this as a bear pennant, right, which would be valid. I'm not a pattern trader, but, you could take that for what it's worth. The beats and the lyrics are yours, bro. The beat is lit, bro. It's like exactly what I like. Shout out to Rudy. Who does the lyrics? Oh, here we go. Is that 3-minute money flow crossover, or are we dumping? Let's see. All right, so we got the 3-minute money flow crossover here on Biddy. Oh, we didn't get the man. We didn't get the 3-minute red dot. I would have preferred, because now we're going to have to deal with this red dot after pushing up. Would have preferred to see the red dot print. Whoops. Would have preferred to see the, good Lord. Would have preferred to see the red dot print here on the 3 minute for a pullback, and then a green dot with the money flow crossover. But we did get it. Starting to push up a little bit here. See if we can reclaim this level. I mean, we definitely need to reclaim this 786 daily MPOC. Got to get back up here for any kind of push to the upside. Still got the 45-minute green dot printing. Got a minute and 50 seconds left on this. Ugh. Not beautiful. Not beautiful, but it is here. So let's see. All right, we're still going to have to deal with this 3-minute red dot, which is probably going to be the next like local little ever flow down. Just from a local volume profile perspective. Just see something here. Yeah. If we could crack these highs, might be able to get a little bit of a bigger push through this low volume gap. So yeah. Again, we'll have to wait to see this 3-minute red dot gives us another little pullback. But if we can get this money flow to continue into the green here, might be able to squeak above this. 786 sitting at 66,386 would be the level I'd like to get above. Break on top of this low volume gap. Might be able to get a little push up. If not, it might just roll over. Again, I don't really have super high hopes for the long here. And then I would look at this as the next target. If you break through that low volume gap, look to push up in here. Come on, baby. Just give us the 3-minute red dot. Give us the pullback. Let us know if this is going to hold or not. There it comes. Here it comes. Will she print? Will she print? Let's see. Set an alarm again? I might print before I'm able to set this. All right, there we go. We'll see. Can we break the 786? Will she crack? We can pull up the 1-second time frame. Get a micro view in here. Oh man, one minute. 1 minute money flow kind of flat. 1 second money flow trying to turn green here. Let's check out the 5-second. 5-second money flow coming out, guys. Not good. Not good. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. Come on. Come on. Shout out to Harold says, people thought I was joking when I said BTC was going to 69K months ago, and I didn't think that would become resistance, though. Shout out to Harold. Yeah, they didn't believe me either, my friend. No, I'm kidding. I think most people did believe me. But the people that didn't want to hear it definitely didn't want to hear it. Shout out to JJ. Thank you for the super chat. Said, can we look at stable, my friend? I'm hoping your analysis lines up. Shout out to JJ. I'll try to take a look at stable in a minute here. I want to keep an eye here on the Bitcoin price action for a second, and then I'll try to take a look at that. Take a look at that for you. What is stable? Interesting. Not a ton of information here, high time frame. No weekly information, no 4-day information, no 3-day information. Friendly reminder, please don't super chat your altcoins. Does not guarantee that we look at them. You got a lot of the money flow coming out here. I wish I had weekly information here. I just do not. 16-hour red dot printing, 1-hour money flow about to cross red. I'd say short term, probably looking for a little bit more of a move to the downside. I'll give you some levels here real quick because I don't know what this is. There's your local profile here. Give you some local levels. Oh, there's the red dot on Bitcoin. Let's see if this money flow will hold up. 45-minute red dots, green dots probably confirmed now. 80-minute green dot looking to print. I don't love these VWAPs, right? These VWAPs are kind of, they're not inverted, but they're kind of flat here. It's not really what I want to see for a big pop-up. I like to see nice rounded. Let's check the 5-minute money flow. Yeah, you got a 5-minute red dot incoming as well. Probably in for some turbulence here. But yeah, so I would look at this local volume profile pulled from back here. You have your value area low at, I won't even read out these, 0.023, POC 0.025, value area high 0.028. All your money flow is coming out here. 1-hour money flow coming out. 45-minute money flow coming out. Your 1 hour with your 16-hour red dot would be more of a bearish view here short term. You're also attempting to get accepted back into your profile. So if you do pull back here, these would be the two biggest levels to look at, in my opinion. Got Golden Pocket 786 sitting right on the POC. And then once you lose that POC 786, I'd be looking to go down to the low. And I would say shorter term, not financial advice, of course. Money flow coming out here on the 1 hour with your 16-hour red dot. Daily, bearish divergence and red dot looking to print. So I'm going to check that 80-minute money flow, 90-minute money flow. So, yeah, I would just view this as a volume profile. If you can't get out of here, I would look towards the POC and the value area low. And then if that red dot ends up printing, or when it ends up printing, I'd be keeping an eye on this 90 and 80-minute money flow. If that crosses into the red at the same time as the daily red dot printing, that would indicate to me, right, locally, the 1 hour money flow could continue your local downtrend. Right? And then once you start losing this, if you have the daily red dot with the 90-minute and 80-minute money flow crossover into the red, I would probably be looking for a continuation of that downtrend. So that's what I would look for here. Quick and dirty on stable. Those would be the big levels I'd look at least locally. So there we go. Doesn't look stable. It looks very volatile. Yes. Price action looking wonky. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Price action looking wonky. Oh, my God. That 3-minute red dot. Come on. Print it already. 5-minute red dot too. I mean, if you can get, there she goes. Low volume there. See if you can hold the POC. See if we can hold this. Yeah, I would say you got to break these highs, right? You break these highs, then maybe you can see a bigger push up. But until then, I would just look at this local volume profile wise. 5-minute red dot printing. You know, if we had this 80-minute red dot, like if this VWAP is a little more curved up, I'd feel a little bit better about this. But yeah, and then your 15-minute looking to roll over, 12-minute looking to roll over, 10-minute. Obviously, your 3-minute red dot's going to leak into your 5-minute. Your 5-minute's going to leak into your 7-minute. So really what I'd be looking for here is money flow. There's your 7-minute red dot losing the POC. Can we go back to the low? That would be your Golden Pocket 786 locally. Tempting to hold the POC, but you got that 7-minute red dot incoming. See if we can come on down here to that Golden Pocket 786. Come on. Make a move, Bitcoin. All right, you got a pretty big gap here. Down towards that golden pocket. Can she hit? Can she hit? Get me off that impulse. All right, let's see here. Shout out to Slim Shift, said, Frankie, I'm down a bit on whiff. Do you think the project may bounce back in the next bull run? Shout out to Slim Shift. I mean, that is anybody's guess. I talked earlier today about how pretty much like 80% of altcoins don't go back to their all-time high. So it would be a very speculative guess for me. It is a meme coin. So, but we have seen things like Dogecoin survive bear markets. But not, very hard call for me to make. My stance on altcoins is obviously most don't go back to their all-time highs. So, is the chances really high? I don't know. Try to take a look at the chart here real quick. Not on the 1 minute. Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard for me to say. I mean, the chart looks pretty garbage, in my opinion. Maybe you get a little weekly bullish divergence here, but you got this big wick that could get filled. You are looking to print a green dot here pretty soon, it looks like. Might be getting a little rejected there. Yeah, a little bit of an inverted VWAP. Yeah, shout out to Slim Shift. I don't want to give you bad information. It's almost impossible for me. My guess is as good as yours. My guess might be a little bit more cautious just because I understand that most altcoins don't go back to their all-time highs, and something like WIF is hard because it's a meme coin, right? And again, we've seen things like Dogecoin survive bear markets, but it's not like, I don't know. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but I probably wouldn't be betting. I don't hold WIF, but if I held a bag of WIF, I wouldn't be banking on it. But of course, not impossible. Very, very difficult. I think a lot of people are unfortunately going to feel a lot of pain on a lot of the altcoins, right? If Bitcoin goes down another 15, 20%, I mean, the altcoins are probably going to follow. Yeah, so shout out to Slim Shift, man. I wish I can give you a stronger answer, but I just genuinely don't know. Shout out to Rath Ford, says, Frankie, deep breath. Just the sigh. I hope it does. Shout out to Slim Shift Media. For your case, I pray that it does. Absolutely. Let's see. Yo, crazy. Bitcoin's going to 38K. Could go down to that monthly make it point of control. Definitely not impossible. No worries. I figured that'd be your answer. I hope so too. Yeah, it's just really hard. For what it's worth, there's nothing on the chart right now that tells me that's going to go to all-time highs. You're kind of just betting that it catches a bid in the next bull market, which of course is not promised. But I do like to obviously perform pretty decently this cycle. See if I can pull up that Bitstamp chart here real quick. Trying to get the most price history I can here. There we go. So yeah, I mean, you got the 2021 all-time high, and then the only thing, right, that I don't love about a lot of the altcoins here are even the ones that performed quote unquote decently, right? I mean, 917% gain. And that's why I always say, right, people are always focused on Dogecoin to $1, Dogecoin to this price, Dogecoin to that price. There is no person or no thing on the planet that can tell you if a dollar level is going to get hit or not. And that's why I always say, you really got to have your plan, right? If you have to have an exit plan on the way up. But the one thing I don't love about a lot of these altcoins is if you pull your fibs from the highs to the lows, right? These were essentially retracements. Even something on like Dogecoin, right? It's like high, low, lower, high. Pull this on the log scale, right? Is essentially a golden pocket 786 retracement, which at the end of the day could indicate high, low, lower, high, lower, low. Like a lot of altcoins were in that situation going into retracement levels. So, and even with something like WIF, like doesn't mean just because Dogecoin survived this bear market to at least get a 917% pump to the upside, didn't go into new all-time highs. It doesn't mean WIF will go into new all-time highs, but like, again, this would be a gamble back here too. Like, hey, will Dogecoin ever go to new all-time highs? Like, I don't know. But just to kind of show you, right, like things can survive bear markets as far as meme coins. But yeah, I don't like these retracements. Like a lot of altcoins had this retracement. Doge is the OG. It will stay around. Other memes, who knows? Yeah. I would even argue, the other thing, too, with meme coins is, like, all it takes is, like, a Elon Musk tweet, right? And, like, then this thing starts mooning. So, meme coins are even more difficult. But, yeah, we'll see. Let's go back over to Bitcoin here. Holding the POC currently. Or this POC. Lower time frame POC has moved up. So, let's see. Can we get to... It's that 3-minute money flow trying to come back into the red. See if that green dot can save this 3-minute money flow. Just super chopped out price action here, guys. Even this. What is this? Maybe a 1% move? Not even. Or splitting hairs here. Keeping the stream short today, Frankie. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. Depends on what you consider short, Panda. I think we've already broken the short stream here. So, I have INJ in my wallet because I sold all my ETH. Couldn't pay gas. Oh, shout out to Crypto Wallet Elite. Yikes. INJ. I mean, again, like I'm not going to spend a super amount of time here on the altcoins today just because, yeah, I mean... Again, like not a lot of development down here either. I mean, you took out this wick from October, right? So you have taken out the wick there. Already got a 28% bounce to the upside. Again, right, looking at this, so let's take a look at the weekly real quick. Like maybe you get a weekly bullish divergence, but again, it's a super sharp angle. Like to see those a little bit more local, something like that. But you took out this wick. I mean, once you lose this, I mean, you also have this like kind of backup support structurally. Once you lose this level, it's going to be hard to pull this profile because there's not a lot here. But I would say if you end up losing and if you end up losing these lows, like the next place to really look is between $2.18. Get accepted into that profile. Could be looking down towards $1.63 to $1.48. And I don't really see any significant signs of a bottom here. If you can get that weekly bull div, you might be able to get a little bit of a bounce. But obviously, like massive weakness here. I mean, it's pretty much across the board for all altcoins. Shout out to Tony, said SPX 900 sounds like one of those scam comments. Yeah, it is an actual coin, but yeah, it does absolutely. It's like AUX 4 million. Shout out to Nick Dunn in the chat. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Shout out to Alexandra G. Said, have a wonderful rest of your day. Shout out to Alexandra G. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you tomorrow, I assume. Shout out to Alexandra G. Frankie, SPX 6900. Yeah. I think the big thing a lot of people want here is like, oh my God, it's the bottom. We're going to all-time highs. Of course, that's not really my viewpoint here on any altcoins. Doesn't mean the bottoms can't be in. But I can give you some local levels here on SPX. Man, that's kind of a... There we go. So this, I'll give you some local levels to the upside. Got your value area low, your POC, your value area high. Money flow trying to come up here on the 16-hour. Daily red dot potentially looking to come in. Got a little daily bull div here. Yeah, I mean, this would not be something I'm interested in trading. Maybe. Let's see. Took out these lows. You got a little kind of like an SFP. Not fully confirmed there. Yeah, not something I'd be super interested in. I would say this is your biggest level of support. Lose this 786. 24 cents. That's where I'd be looking for the bigger drop down. I can't pull any levels below that because I don't have price history, at least on the MEXC chart, which typically has, I'm pretty sure this is probably all the price action. So I would say that 786 is your biggest level of support. If you lose this, probably not going to be very good. If you can hold this, maybe if you do end up putting in a higher low, right? Continue up. Biggest level of resistance will be sitting up here between 46 and 50 cents. Pull this to the high. Let's see if I pull it to... This would be your biggest level of resistance here. So if you are able to catch some kind of a push to the upside, biggest level of resistance, flip that golden pocket POC. That's where I'd look for the bigger move up towards 58 cents at the 786. Flip the 786. I'd be looking to go up to that value area high at about 65 cents. Again, I wouldn't be super hopeful for that move, at least as of right now. There's nothing really pointing towards that being the best case, but I would say I would want to see a flip of that point of control in order to open up the door to that bigger move up. Got your value up here. You're below your value. Once you get up here, biggest level of resistance, value area low is key resistance until proven otherwise, right? So I'd really want to see the flip of that level here at about 50 cents. Until then, this will be a big level to look at. And then if you lose the 786, probably not looking great. And again, if Bitcoin gets another 15% drop to the downside, like I would just expect downward price action, right? Let's go back over to Bitcoin here real quick. What do we got going on? Oh, she's trying to reclaim that POC? Good Lord. This is like watching paint dry. Yo, where's your hat, bro? Shout out to El Tío Abuelo. Shout out to you, brother. I never get too far from my hat. I never get too far. Should we do the rest of this stream here with the hat? Maybe we'll get better price action. There we go. All right, we got the hat on. Hopefully we can get a move here. Oh, Bitcoin trying to push up. Green dot on the 3-minute. Money flow back in the red, though. Choppy, choppy, choppy. And she's pushing. Got to crack this high. Maybe we can see a little bit of a push up. I don't know if we're going to be here live while that happens, but we can crack that. Maybe we can see a little push into that golden pocket. Not super hopeful for it, but that's what I would look for. For the most part, guys, other than like these arbitrary hyper-local levels, like just long-term, right? For those of you who just tuned in, I prefer the takeout of this low here. Kind of expecting to get stopped out of my scalp long position, which would be totally fine by me. But long-term, guys, the biggest levels to look at least below us right now, other than these like tiny scalp levels, right? Like look at like a 4-hour chart, right? Like look at that volume profile we were just looking at, right? Like we're zoomed in here quite a bit. But you know, from a significant standpoint, biggest key, I'll leave you guys with these like biggest major key levels to look at, starting with the weakest of them. Daily MPOC, 786 golden pocket, daily horizontal, 64,840 to 62,382. I'll be interested in scalps here. Not really significant moves. If it happens to be a significant move, I'll let it hit me by surprise. So like again, like not super in love with this level, but the bigger levels obviously remain down here. Sorry to repeat this for people who watched from the beginning, but I think it's good to just recap the major levels to look at, right? So, we'll see what happens down there. Until then, if we lose it, I would really prefer, right? We're also inside this volume profile. If we can't break above the POC, daily money flow in the red, daily red dot printing, 90-minute money flow crossing into the red could just continue our trend to the downside. If we can't hold those local fibs, again, big reason I'm not interested in those is just because you have to fight through your POC. You're kind of fighting the full volume profile rotation, which I typically don't like to do. I actually did that, I think it was last week, and got stopped out. Don't fade the volume profiles. But, you know, the levels are there, so I have to bring them up. But at the end of the day, from a volume profile perspective, if we can't reclaim in here in our local profile, get stuck under the POC, I would prefer a rotation down towards the bigger levels. 59.8 down to 55K. Looking for the push down there, deviation below. Hopefully that can print our daily bullish divergence. Something like that, right? Biggest level of support, 57 to 55K. Anything in there, I'm trading as scalps. Yeah, shout out to Kodak. Said, send it to 55K so we can get it over with. Yeah, that's how I felt about this move. I was like, come on, Bitcoin, just rip the Band-Aid off. Get it over with. But overall, guys, I do think, right, like, until we lose 47K, right, a lot of the pain is behind us, right? Doesn't mean you can't go lower, obviously. That's what we're looking for. But I'm looking for bottoms. Right, I'm not saying it has to come in here, right? It could come down at 47K, right? And at the end of the day, right, like a lot of people say, it's going to 30K. It's going to 38K, right? Well, it might not, right? You know, this the same people that say 8K, 10K, right? You could have those targets down there. They're all valid, right? Like 39K to 37K is a key level, right? But it doesn't mean it has to get hit, right? Just like 12 to 14K was a key level, didn't get hit. But what we need to see to understand that those are not going to come in is we need some more development, right? We need the bullish confirmations. If we don't get those confirmations, then we can talk about it being more likely that maybe we do go down for those bigger drops. And from like the simplest perspective, taking all the levels off the chart, except for the volume profiles, there's your upper profile, right? We get accepted in here. You must hold that POC, right? It's like a beautiful roadmap or blueprint for price. Retest the highs. Maybe you get the bounce out. If you don't, we will have an idea if that's going to be high probability or not. There's no confirmations here. It's not if the charts are not looking good. I don't know what the charts are going to look like down here. If it looks like trash, well, I'll be looking for lower, right? But if we come in here and we start putting, you know, massive bullish divergences, everybody and their mom is screaming for 30K, and we have the actual information on the chart saying this might be the low for a bigger bounce, not that it would happen that fast, then, you know, honestly, people saying, oh, my God, I told you 30K, I told you 30K, everyone calling for that down here would make me feel really good about the people. Like, same thing here for the people calling for 3K and 8K, right? If we don't get it, well, guess what? Then we could say, hey, there's probably going to be a higher probability. We just kind of melt through here. There's no confirmations. We'll know, right? We'll have a good idea if that's going to be the higher probability. But there's no way to say until we get down there, right? So if you're just looking at this, if we do come down to these levels, that's your key support, right? Lose it, I'd be looking down towards the value area low. And again, that monthly MPOC at about 39K. If this, then that. If this, then that, right? If price comes down with beautiful weekly bullish divergences, massive bottom signals, money flow coming up, massive buy volume, then maybe that, right? Those are the two cases. Nobody knows which one's going to happen, guys. Not even me. What is this now? What is this? We're doing something. Oh, we probably hit that golden pocket maybe. There she is, pushing through. Whoops. Oh, no, it was the high volume node. Right here. All right, let's see. Get these levels back up. Golden pocket 786 down to the low. 15-minute red dot looking to print. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe a bull dip looking to print here, which would indicate a break of the low. Yikes. 80-minute green dot. Come on. It's the only thing that could save this bounce right now is that 80-minute green dot. 15-minute red dot probably going to print first. So I would expect maybe another push down into this zone here. Lose 65, 930. I'm looking for a new low. I'm always looking for bottom. Shout out to Panda Profit. Let's take a look at the SPY real quick. Get that monthly red dot confirmed. Bearish divergences here on the monthly. That's another thing, right, that could potentially, we didn't get a move down on the printing. It is now confirmed, obviously. I think we already looked at this. I think that's what those lines were, obviously the divergences. 2-month bearish divergence also looking to print. 12-month red dot potentially looking to print there as well. Obviously, that will take time. But yeah, man, this thing is, it just looks overextended. It's like, it just looks like gravity wants to pull that down. But we'll see here, right? Over time, I mean, if the stock market winds up getting a bigger push down, right, this is another thing that could pull Bitcoin down. Let's take a look at the daily money flow here. Daily money flow looking pretty thin, right? Nice big green wave. Clean continuation of the uptrend. Now money flow slowly trends out as price action is coming up, right? So you have like continuous bearish divergences here, right? Like regardless of kind of where you pull it from, right? You just have like price going up as momentum and money flow is coming out. If you get decisive money flow crossovers here on the daily, that could start a bigger downtrend, assisting that monthly bearish divergence, right? Which would also very likely drag Bitcoin down with it as well. But we'll see. Obviously, the stock market is very bullish. There's been many a times where this money flow has been coming out, and you just continue up. It's like the biggest scam in history. It just keeps pumping. Shout out to DDT, says, why don't you use 2, 3, 4-day MPOCs? It's just too much noise for me. I like the daily MPOCs for day trades. And then, weekly, monthly as the high time frame MPOCs. You just start pulling up 2, 3, 4 days. Like, that's when your chart just starts looking like this. Right? It's just like too much information's bad information. You just got like so many levels. You don't know what you're trading off of. So there you go. Pretty much too much information is usually bad information in my experience. So it's the same reason why I don't look at like every moving average, every trend line, right? Then your chart just looks like absolute garbage. But That's me personally. Not that you shouldn't look at 2-day MPOCs. If you had a 2-day MPOC, probably get respected to some point, to some degree. Let's pull up 2-day MPOCs here. All right, well, you got 2-day MPOCs right up here. Rejected. All right, but also, not that we would have missed that either because there were 2 daily MPOCs. So again, it's like if you're not looking, you don't have to look at everything, right? Chances are, if there was a moving average here, there was an MPOC there. If there was a 2-day MPOC there might have been a weekly horizontal. You kind of got to, in my opinion, pick and choose what you look at to keep your chart nice and clean. I like to keep my chart clean. Not that, if I show all of my TA here, right? Obviously, like you don't want to trade on a chart that looks like this, right? So I just like to keep things simple. I guess is the easiest answer. All right, she's just bing-bonging around here, guys. So we'll see. I to be honest, I wouldn't even like mark out these levels. This is just like hyper local. But I kind of expect to get stopped out of my long position. We'll know this probably by the end of tomorrow. If I get stopped out below the lows, it is what it is. No big deal. Small loss. And if that does end up being the case, right, hopefully we just get the bigger drop down. We have the local levels in there that I'm not as interested in. But, of course, I do prefer over time to see that bigger drop below the lows. We'll see if that winds up being the case. But, yeah, other than that, pretty choppy, boring, nasty price action here. Probably going to get a little reaction off this POC right here. Up 160 on the long. Probably soon to be a small loss. You see retail buying the stock market. My German buddy has 200K in Google. Oh, God. Man. Shout out to Crypto King said, can you explain why you use the time frames that you use? For example, I've never seen somebody use the 80-minute, for example. Shout out to Crypto King. It really just comes down to like multi-time frame analysis. So the reason I look for at the 80 and 90 minute is, well, 80 minutes, 90 minute is about 1/16 of the daily time frame, right? So one of the things that I like to look for here is a daily red dot, right? When I get a daily red dot, on the 1/16th time frame of the daily, which is the 90-minute, if you're getting a money flow crossover into the red at the same time as that daily red dot, I have a video explaining this strategy on the channel in the beginner series. When you see those two things happening at the same time, the 90-minute money flow crossover will often indicate that you're going to continue a downtrend, right? So I do like to use that as a strategy to understand context. And then the reason I'm looking at the 80 minutes specifically is sometimes if you have a daily red dot and the 90 minutes about to cross over, oftentimes, right, a slightly lower time frame will cross over first. So if I'm looking at the chart here, I have the daily red dot and the 90-minute money flow is about to cross over. Sometimes I'll scoot down to the 80-minute to see if that's already crossing over to try to front run if that's actually going to cross into the red. So I'll go to the 80-minute. I see the 80-minute might be crossing over already or about to cross over. I kind of just use the 80-minute to front run that. But the reason I have these kind of like arbitrary or like unusual time frames is because a lot of them, like the 45-minute, why do I look at that? Well, it's the 1/16 of the 12-hour. So when I see a 12-hour red dot and a 45-minute money flow crossover into the red, it's very oftentimes that you'll see a continuation of a downtrend. Hopefully that explains it. What is your fixed range settings? Shout out to Digital Paycheck. If you check out the beginner series, I have a tutorial on the fixed range volume profiles where I share all my settings. Not only that, also exactly how I personally trade the volume profiles, where I like to look for trades within them, and some of the confirmations that I like to see in order to actually take those trades. So check that out for more information on the settings. And yeah, we'll see. 10-minute green dot printing. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What's going on here? Let's see. All right, long still technically alive. Almost up 200 on the long. Pretty much break even here. I just want to see this pop up at least a little bit. But again, not high hopes on this. We'll check. I'll let you guys know. Obviously, we'll know. If we get the dump down, you guys will know I'll be stopped out of that. But I'll talk about it if that is the case tomorrow. But hopefully, either way, we could get a little bit of a move here. Shout out to Crypto King says, yes, thank you. Wow, this is confirmation I've never heard of. Do you know what playlist or video that might be? Thanks for addressing my comments, sir. No problem, bro. If you go to the beginner series playlist on the YouTube channel, I think, Mark, the money flow is literally on the thumbnail. So you'll be able to see that for sure. I recommend watching all those videos. It's basically a free beginner course. Shout out to RH says PBD, Patrick Bet David. No, I think he's talking about P-shape, B-shape, and D-shape profiles. Those are the 3 different types of profiles that you can have. Actually, I have a tutorial on that as well. I don't think it's in the beginner series. Maybe I should update that one. Charts like the kitchen, it's got to be cleaned every single day. Yes, I agree with that. Otherwise, you just wind up looking at a million different levels. And again, sometimes too much information is bad information. So we'll see. On it, you're the man. Shout out to Crypto King. Enjoy those videos, bro. But guys, with all that being said, I think that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. I got to hop out of here. Already 5:23, 2 hours and 30 minutes here for today's live stream. I'll be live again with you guys tomorrow. We'll try to catch it a little earlier to catch the hopefully we can get some volatility. But if not, guys, kind of a boring situation for Bitcoin. Just waiting for that next move to come down to either the higher high time frame key levels of resistance or the lower high time frame key levels of support. Until then, we'll be trying to catch these scalps, even if they're lower probability. But with all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide, never see me coming.
CandleMafia.
Frankie, light it up. Screens glow green on a Monday. Frankie in the chat like Conway. Lines on the chart like a runway. Whole squad ready for the uptake. He don't chase pumps, he erase fear. Reading that flow, see it real clear. Zone by zone, put the plan in gear. Hit, take profit, then we disappear. Big wicks, he don't even flinch. Red bars, that's a bargain bin. Talk size, talk risk, talk win. Same grind every day, same man. CandleMafia, candles up. Frankie call it price up. Boom. Money flow, heavy, that's us. And Frankie we trust, and Frankie we trust. CandleMafia, run that play. Limb tall, we don't gotta say much. Green way, pushing our way. And Frankie we trust, and Frankie we trust. Hey, Frankie say wait for the flow switch. We don't FOMO, that's broke shit. Watch that river go thick. Rich, ride that tide, then we cash in. He see traps in the low range. He see caps where the highs hang. He mark boxes like code names. Whole map in his mind like war games. Late night shot with the squad on mute. He call level, we call loop. Stack stats, that's the real proof. Receipts in the chat, that's true. CandleMafia, candles up. Frankie call it pricey up. Money flow heavy, that's us. And Frankie we trust, and Frankie we trust. CandleMafia, run that play. Volume talk, we don't gotta say much. Green way, pushing our way. And Frankie we trust, and Frankie we trust. We don't pray for a lucky hit. We just wait for the perfect fit. He say flow lined up, that's it. Whole crew locked in, then we flip. CandleMafia, candles up. Frankie call it pricey up. Money flow heavy, that's us. And Frankie we trust, and Frankie we trust. CandleMafia, run that play. Volume talk, we don't gotta say much. Green way, pushing our way. And Frankie we trust, and Frankie we trust.
Bro, that song goes so hard. Shout out to Rudy. Rudy made that song, guys. That high key goes hard. We might have to start playing that some more. Bro, some of those lines are heat. Take profit, then we disappear. That's my favorite one. But yeah, shout out to the Mafia. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frank Candles out. Bing bong.